All right, this is Ren.
And this is Casey.
And we're part of All Walks of Film.
Yay!
Today we're going to be talking about the top 10 movies of 2014. 2014 wasn't a great year for movies, but it was a decent year.
Yeah, for me, I had a list of my top 15 movies, and I had a list of my worst 5 instead of a traditional 10 and 10. Which I took to be like a pretty good sign of the year. But I didn't, with the exception of 2 movies, I didn't watch movies that I knew were going to be shitty. I just didn't. So the movies that are on my worst list are all disappointments. Including one movie that I knew was going to be shitty, but you know. So that kind of makes me feel more positively about the year than perhaps it really was.
Yeah,
but
I mean...
I'm happy with that. I like living in my blissful ignorance.
But at the same time, like, you don't go into a fucking Hasbro movie like Transformers or Ouija and actually expect...
Well, exactly. But my point is, I didn't see Ouija. Ouija. It's not Ouija, it's Ouija.
Oh, it's Ouija? Because, like... I get confused because, like, sometimes it's Ouija.
It's a Ouija board.
No, but, like, it's actually been called Ouija, and it's been called Ouija.
Yeah, I think it might be a regional thing. But yeah, I didn't see Ouija. I didn't see Annabelle. I didn't see, I don't even know a lot of bad movies that came out, because I didn't see
Legend of Hercules, I remember...
Oh, Legend of Hercules.
I remember my friend was like, hey, we should go see this movie. And I was
Million Ways to Die in the West. We didn't see that one either.
Yeah, we didn't see that.
You know what I feel bad that I missed out on?
What?
I said the blissful ignorance. I should have said the unexpected virtue of ignorance. I missed that. Sorry.
All right. So coming in at number 10, what do you have?
You go first.
Okay.
Oh, wait. No, ladies first, right?
Exactly.
Okay. My number 10 pick, I personally think every single movie on my top 10 are all phenomenal, but I was very impressed with Noah. I was super impressed with Darren Aronofsky's Noah movie, and that's when I was surprised that, like, because I came out of the theater, I was just glowing about the movie, and everyone I talked to about it was like, ew, why'd you see that movie? Why would I want to see that? And I know biblical movies get a bad rap right off the bat, but I thought it might attract Aronofsky fans because, I mean, he's made nothing but good films. Has he made a bad film? And has he made, like, a less than hugely successful film?
Oh, he's made definitely made less than hugely successful films.
Well,
I mean,
like, Pi was, like, his first film.
Pi, Requiem for a Dream, it has the clout... It was not a very successful movie.
No, it came out, but it has clout now, and his last film...
The reason being was because
his last film, Black Swan, was huge.
Yeah.
Like, I would have thought that the name was enough.
Well...
Honestly. Oh, are we doing spoilers or no spoilers or spoiler alert?
We'll give you a warning.
Let's give you a warning. Yeah.
When there's a spoiler alert, so you might want to... Okay. Skip ahead if, we give a spoiler.
But, for me, the reason why Noah did make my top 10 is because it actually is surprisingly faithful to the 2-page story in the Bible. But it's very original vision, and for me, originality counts for a lot more than adaptation. Mm-hmm. Which, it is an adaptation, but I know a lot of people hate the rock design of the fallen angels, but I thought that the imagery of, like, these star-like beings crashing into Earth and the Earth literally, like, molding to their bodies and physically holding them down was beautiful. I thought it was amazing. I thought that was, like, fantastic. I don't know why people were so against that, because that montage where you see that is gorgeous. And his telling of the creation of the world is my favorite telling of it, and he combines the original text from the Bible with
blasphemy,
kind of, but with the evolutionary theory, which is
blasphemy.
Kind of, well, it's kind of a modern
lives forever.
Well, no, I know. It's just I know a lot of modern people kind of try to say, like, oh, well, the 6 days isn't accurate. Maybe like evolution happened and God created evolution, and it was cool to see that in film. But great acting, great effects. I
Russell
love this.
Crowe actually gave a good song.
Yeah, he gave a good song.
Like I was like, where was the singing voice in, Les Miserables?
Yeah, exactly. But for me, no, it was a fantastic, terrifying story. Very human, very morally ambiguous, because there's not really a right or wrong except for God's way. But I like that the doubt was okay. Like, it's showing that it's okay to doubt if you believe afterwards. But amazing special effects, a great score, and a really great original song, fantastic cinematography, and really good acting. So, yeah, that's my top 10. Or that's my first 10. That's my number 10.
All right, my number 10 is Guardians of the Galaxy. Yeah, it's on the bottom of my list because I did have a couple issues with the film. But, I gotta say, with all these dark superhero movies that come out, and all these movies that, like, try to, come up with, like, this origin story, and then it's like, well, you didn't know his story was this dark. And, like, fucking Spider-Man did it, fucking Man of Steel did it, Batman did it awesome. But it's a trope that we're kind of getting sick and tired of. It has its place with some superhero movies. But, what did Marvel decide to do? They decided to go with, well, instead of showing these heroes that everybody knows, hey, remember that comic with the talking squirrel and the tree? And, the space hippies? Everybody's like, no. And then they see the trailer and it's like, awesome! Right on. They got the guy from Parks and Rec. Sorry, I don't watch the show.
He's hot, though, in this movie. I don't like muscle-bound dudes. I don't. But he does it for me.
Yeah, well...
Because he's got the goofy personality, too. That's part of it.
But as cool as whatever the fuck his name is. Oh, yeah, Star-Lord. Yeah.
Who?
Yeah, great cameo by Jaimin Husu for, that one scene. I thought it was kind of cute.
Lots of great cameos, though. Lots of good cameos. Lots of good Easter eggs, too.
Best cameo of all time. Something that I was not expecting.
Nobody was.
Howard the Duck.
Howard the Duck. Yes.
And it has been confirmed that Howard the Duck is getting his new movie.
Boo! I know the comics are good, I know, but it's hard to separate from the original movie.
Just like with... All I gotta say...
Wait, is Seth Green? Is Seth Green doing it for the movie? Because he did Howard the Duck for that scene.
I don't know for
sure. Seth Green!
I don't know for sure.
Well,
but it would be nice.
Yeah, for me, Guardians of the Galaxy was great. There were some major issues, but it was so much fun that you kind of had to get over the painful exposition and the space-related issues.
Plus, Marvel just needs to write their villains better.
They do. Oh my god, the villains were so boring.
Yeah,
with every Marvel movie.
Boring. Like outside of X-Men and Spider-Man, Marvel's like, hey, we got awesome heroes.
Yeah.
And we got
They
villains.
do have awesome heroes, though, because...
We have villains, they exist.
Their trademark, though, is a hero you want to hang out and get a beer with. And I kind of like that.
Yeah, DC's like, we got heroes, but we got fucking awesome villains.
Yes.
All I gotta say is,
oh, we should do
my dream world would be to take Marvel's heroes and DC's villains, and then you have something good.
No, I was actually about to say that should be our next podcast. We should come up with each of our own top 5 pair-offs of best DC villain versus Marvel hero. What we think would be a good pair-off.
Okay.
Yeah, let's do it.
Okay.
Okay, high five on it. Cool.
All right, coming in at number 9.
All right, for me, as much as I loved it, it was actually Dawn of the Planet of the Apes. Made my top 10, but low on the list. Mostly because I didn't... Well, there was a major reason for it, and it's why I didn't enjoy it as much as I enjoyed Rise. And it's because there wasn't a lot of moral complexity to it. It was very much... Maybe within the apes... But when the apes were gunning down the humans, I did not give two craps about the humans. I really didn't care. I was just like, apes on horseback with machine gun is the coolest fucking thing. But that's not really the right vibe for Planet of the Apes.
Okay. Well, I
That's
will...
why it's low on the list, honestly.
I understand. I understand your reasoning. And it's actually higher on my list.
Okay.
But I have a special place for apes in my heart.
Yeah, and so do I. Like, any ape movie I will see, and most of them I will cherish. And I do cherish this movie, but that was just my one issue with it. My one issue. That's it. Now, other than that, the motion capture technology that they use in these movies is phenomenal. And Andy Serkis is a god in motion capture. And he has, like, I don't want to say he's not top dog, like he's not good because he's amazing, but everyone around him is as amazing. It's really incredible to see everyone like Toby Kebbell and Terry Notary and Kieran Conoval as as Koba, Rocket, and Maurice are just all fantastic and so dedicated. So dedicated, and it shines through so much. And the fact that the movie is all about the apes and that's the strong point really makes the movie fantastic. And the action is awesome, and all the ape characters are just great. And then my top notes about that are amazing special effects, obviously. Amazing special effects. A great score. And I do like the script a lot, but the production design was out of this world with the sets that they built and the props that they made and how much thought and effort went into it and how beautiful it translated in the film. And especially the design of the classroom, I know you really love, where Maurice is actually teaching them the 3 laws. And it was just, everything with the apes was fantastic. Just like blew me away so good. And I like... It's a simple plot, and it's effective.
All right, coming in at number 9 for me is Gone Girl. David Fincher has been a little interesting for me in the past couple years. I know a lot of his films have been praised, but I wasn't really a big fan of Zodiac. I know people say that it's his greatest movie. Don't agree with them. People also really liked... The Girl with the Dragon Tattoo, but having seen the
English one, okay.
Having seen the Swedish version, I thought that was a much better tackling of the material. Now, I actually haven't read the material, but likewise, I have not read Gillian Flynn's Gone Girl, but Gone Girl is a really interesting film that tackles relationships, and it tackles this idea of, toxicity between both male and female parts. Both the man and the woman are portrayed in a negative light. However, spoilers, because literally anything about Gone Girl is a spoiler.
Yeah, even if you mention the opening line, it's a spoiler.
Right. So... anything about Gone Girl, spoiler, watch the movie, come back, or skip ahead. That being said, one of... It was a really interesting film that I thought... I thought really tackled some issues that... tackled this idea of possibly, men aren't always the bad guy... and kind of played with that because, so often, only men can be the aggressors. Only men can do all this kind of stuff. And here you have a story that takes that entire concept and says, yes, we all, quote unquote, know this about men. Therefore, this woman figures out a way to get away with it based on everybody's bias against men.
I didn't think of it that way, but I agree with you now that you've said it. Yeah. It's higher up on my list, so I'll chime in with my notes later.
All right.
Okay, well, number 8 for me, you're gonna hate me for putting this above Dawn. I'm sorry. But number 8 for me is the Lego Movie. And my pick for best animated film of the year. And again, it's because it's so original. Like, it really did not feel like a product placement. And literally the whole movie is Legos. But Lego's not really about product placement. I think they do well enough for themselves that they don't have to. But, it was very fun, very smart, and Will Arnett as Batman was awesome, of course. But I thought it's a great moral story for children. Because we live in a day and age where children are geared less and less towards an industrial lifestyle and career choice and like kind of building up America, and more into liberal arts, expressing yourself in a creative way. And there's a different sort of pressure that comes with trying to be creative when you're surrounded by creative people. Sometimes you feel like you're not creative enough, you're not original enough, you can't project yourself the right way. And that's really what Emmett kind of was he's a very vivacious, interesting person, but he's surrounded by such colorful people that he doesn't shine in comparison. And very short spoiler alert, the live action scene was very touching and very, very cute, but not really that predictable or sort of overdone with children's movies, I thought.
Right. And another spoiler alert, I wasn't put aside by Will Ferrell's appearance in the Lego Movie.
Because he did a surprisingly dramatic role, and he was good. Very good.
Well, I've seen him do dramatic because I actually, a couple years back there's a movie that he was in.
But just, he is a comedian, and Lego Movie is a comedic movie, so...
Crap, I can't think of this movie. Anyways, it will probably come back to me. I know it's this movie where he has, like, this narrator voicing, stuff.
Yeah.
So...
Okay, just real quick for me, definitely best pick for animated film, and then also, for me, best original song. Everything is awesome. Like, I've heard that so much. It was everywhere all year. And unlike Let It Go, I love it every time I hear it. Every time somebody says it, it just makes me happy. It makes me feel warm inside, and it just really stands out as being a part of the film. So that's my pick. I hope it gets nominated and wins for Best Original Song, for sure.
Really? That song over Darkness? No parents!
Darkness!
Yeah.
Black like coffee! Something like that. I don't know. No, really, as much fun as the Batman theme is, everything is awesome, just pumps me up so much. And I even like the Tegan and Sarah cover. It's a little, it's kind of weird, but I kind of like it. It's okay. I like it. Alright, your number 8 pick.
Alright, coming in at number 8 is Nymphomaniac.
Oh, another one that's much higher on my list, and that.
Well, I got a couple films
go ahead, please.
that are much higher on my list than they were on your list. Nymphomaniac is Lars von Trier's most uplifting movie that he's ever done. Like, I'm used to horrible things happening to people. And, so I was expecting something way darker, and it was like,
Me too.
actually really sweet. And, actually quite profound. Now, NC-17 totally, do not watch this movie with your parents.
Oh God, no.
No. Like, I made a mistake. Do not watch it with your
parents. Do not watch it with your grandparents. If you do not watch it with your children. No matter how old they are, just don't watch it with your kids.
And also, depending on who you're dating.
Depending on the person.
Do not watch it with your girlfriend.
Yeah, and don't expect if you watch it with someone you're dating, don't expect them to get hot from it.
Yeah. You are not going to get turned on by this movie. You're going to see penetration. Yes, there is penetration in this movie.
And it's perpetrated by Shia LaBeouf.
Yes.
Naked and thrusting. Ugh.
But
not his body, I know, but his face and his he's weird. He's the only person on the poster with his O face is very odd because his mouth isn't open and he looks like he's concentrating.
I think he's smoking a cigarette.
Yeah. While he's supposed to be fucking, I guess. But he also I've seen one picture where he has his arm up, like where his hand is in his armpit. And he's like doing this like thing that makes him look like a 3-year-old. It's or maybe he's like scratching his chest or something. I don't know, but he doesn't look like he's having sex. It's very weird.
I kind of like the minimalist poster that
I love the posters
that the 5-hour cut has, where it's the whip that looks like a vagina.
It's my favorite. Oh, see, I don't think it looks like a vagina. I think it looks like a heart.
Well, it's a heart-shaped box.
But the O is definitely a vagina.
Get it?
Yes, a heart-shaped box. I get it.
Yeah.
But the O is definitely a vagina. With the 2 parentheses.
Yep.
Oh, a side note that's just very funny. The Texas-Dallas National Championships, their O is a football, but it's like Nymphomaniac, where it's like 2 parentheses. So even though it's supposed to be a football, it looks like a vagina, and it's super awkward.
Yeah.
It's super awkward. Okay, I'm sorry. Was there anything else you wanted to say about it?
Yeah. I actually have to look it up.
Yeah, I didn't think you were done.
Great introductory performance, from this actress that I've never seen before, Stacey Martin, as young Joe in Nymphomaniac Part 1.
Yes.
If you do not watch Nymphomaniac as a 2-parter, but you watch Nymphomaniac in 2 parts, the young Joe is played by
Joe is the protagonist. Even if you've seen the movie, you might not know that.
Yeah, Lars von Trier isn't a director that really focuses on names. So for people like me who oftentimes forget names of people,
well, yeah, that's why I want to emphasize
that. Yeah. Also, like Stellan Skarsgård, he's been working with Lars von Trier since his first freaking movie. Mm-hmm. He's great. Was
he the man she's talking to?
Yes, and although I've given spoilers for other things, this movie's 5 hours long. I don't need to give you a spoiler for this.
No. Well, the director's cut is approximately 5.5 hours. Yeah.
Okay.
The extended director's cut.
Yeah. But Stellan Skarsgård takes this woman in, and he's learning about her sex life. He's asexual. She's hypersexual.
Don't say that.
He's asexual. That's what he says at the very beginning.
No, not like it's wrong. It's a spoiler. It's not politically incorrect. It's fine. He says that, but
he does actually say that at the beginning of the movie, which
it's not at the beginning. It's in the first movie.
But
I'm sorry. I thought it was kind of a reveal when that happened. It might be up for debate whether or not that's a spoiler. I'm sorry.
Okay. Well, but that being said, sorry. But his role is very interesting, and he's surprisingly very, very taken by like what she says.
Yeah, and a very seemingly very spiritual.
Yeah. But more to talk about that later.
Yeah.
On to, what is your number 7?
My number 7 is actually Gone Girl. And for me, this movie was a pleasant surprise because I hate, with a passion, more than any other genre, I hate psychological thrillers. I hate them because the ending is always one or two things. The person who seems like the victim is actually the perpetrator, and or it's all in the main character's mind.
Best Lifetime movie ever.
Pretty much. And I know it within the first 10 minutes, and I go the whole movie, and that's the ending. And it usually does not get interesting enough for me to be happy with it. And for this one, the twist happens less than halfway through.
Yeah.
So once it happened, I just was free to enjoy the movie.
Yeah, David Fincher.
This is surprisingly.
Really,
go ahead.
David Fincher isn't really keen on twists. I mean,
yeah,
earlier,
that's why it was fantastic though. Because,
earlier in his career, he was, but not so much anymore. I think he's gotten past his Shyamalan days.
Yeah, well, that's what I thought was fantastic about it. Is that when the movie starts, again, this is one I don't want to talk about spoilers, but I'll mention a few specific things that are not spoilers at all. But when it first starts out, immediately you're taken into this thing of you want to know what the twist is. Yeah. But as soon as it's revealed, the movie is still fascinating. It's very interesting. You're just not, you know what's happening, and that's enough to get you through the rest of the movie.
And it's a long movie.
It's a long movie, but once you're not trying to put the pieces together, and it was more compelling of a mystery than most I've seen in psychological thrillers. But once that twist is out there, it's so much more enjoyable. I love the fact that that was just done and gotten out of the way. Yeah. Because that's the most boring element to me. But other than that, content-wise, what I don't like, I don't agree either way with people saying that it is a feminist film or an anti-feminist film. Because
men's rights activists, get it right.
I don't think it's that either, though.
I'm just saying, because
No, I do mean anti-feminist, as in against women. Nothing to do with men. No,
but I'm saying that, against women oftentimes gets pigeonholed into this men's rights activist.
No, but I didn't mean specifically against females.
Right, okay.
But I don't think it's for or against men's rights either. What I took out of this movie was not with the two main characters, but if you look at the cast as a whole and all of the characters and all the relationships, what I came away with this movie was human beings are human beings. That's it. There's no men are right, women are wrong, men are evil, women are right, or women are evil and men are stupid or whatever. It was people are people. Because for men and women throughout the whole cast, you see the whole spectrum of stupid and intelligent and capable and ridiculous and violent and stubborn, and for men and women. And I thought that was great. Now, the main character does happen to be a psychopath, and I've heard women say that when still most female protagonists are not in, most movies do not have a female protagonist, and they're 7% of blah, blah, blah. It's not right to have a negative female character as a protagonist. I don't agree with that at all. A compelling character is a compelling character. But also I've heard people say that she's taking back the power for women everywhere, and she is the feminist role model, and that is fucked up, guys. That is just fucked up.
Yeah. If your desire...
God, that is so not right.
Yeah.
Oh, God. But there were also some things that they captured on film that were shocking to me. And I'm not going to say what, because spoilers, because I feel like it would be an incredible disservice to even mention for people who haven't seen it.
Well, I will say that if you are familiar with giallos, or if you're familiar with any of the works of Brian De Palma, you might kind of know what you're in for. But
it's not the most shocking I've seen. But what I was shocked at was the fact that it was captured. It wasn't alluded to, and it wasn't cut to black. It was actually on film. That's what was more shocking to me, was just the fact that it wasn't censored. And I liked that. I enjoyed that a lot. But other than that, of course, Rosamund Pike was amazing, and Ben Affleck was the least Ben Affleck-y he's ever been. No, not as a negative or a positive, just I know some people have said, oh, well, Ben Affleck is very Ben Affleck-y, and he's not. He takes on another role and does a good job with that.
But let us not forget, the most impressive role in the movie, Tyler Perry.
Tyler Perry was amazing!
Tyler Perry. Holy fucking shit.
Yeah.
Didn't know Medea had it in him to do something that didn't make me want to cringe.
He stood out as a great actor in this film. And on the negative side, Neil Patrick Harris was woefully miscast in this movie.
Yeah, Neil Patrick Harris, stick to your stage plays, stick to your musicals.
And stop trying to fuck women on film. It's awkward and weird. It's just weird. But,
yeah, stick to your gayness unless your husband doesn't like that.
I didn't like the score in this film, but what really stood out to me, and this is my last point.
Never fool me. Neil Patrick Harris, you can never fool me that you are a straight man.
But it's just weird that everybody knows...
Except actually in the movie Harold and Kumar Go to White Castle.
No, but it's just odd that everybody knows that he's gay, but he continuously plays not just straight characters. That's not the weird thing, is that he keeps playing characters where he does sex scenes with women.
Yeah.
A lot. He's, like, for a straight guy, he's done a lot of sex scenes with women. For a gay guy, like, a ridiculous amount. It's really weird. Like...
He strikes me as the gay guy that would
but he's not in the closet.
Come to a sorority and ask to feel all the other girls' boobs, and be like, "Hey, I'm gay. It's all right."
I wasn't trying to make a big deal out of that, but my last point about Gone Girl. Oh, the cinematography was amazing. The cinematography was fantastic.
Oh yeah.
But what really stood out to me was the production design. Very, very smart, very intentional, beautiful. Lots of things can be said just from looking at the movie, but what I thought
very limited color palette.
Very limited color palette to a point, and it helped the film. But my favorite touch that they did in the whole film was the main woman. She has pens that she writes with, because she writes in the movie, and every pen has a motif attached to it that's the character that she's playing at the moment, or that she might discard at the moment. So it was really interesting to see something that was very attached to her character, but was also signaling like sort of what mask she was putting on. Very, very smart thing that I don't know that a lot of people have noticed. I'm not saying I'm smarter than people, but just if there was one thing I would tell someone who hadn't seen the movie before they went in, I would say, like, look at the pens. It's really cool.
This is not the first time that David Fincher has used pens as a strong character.
I'm
point.
Sure, but I enjoy it. I legitimately enjoy it very much.
He also did that in The Social Network.
Okay, I'm sure. It's just
right.
I enjoyed it very much.
No, it's great. All right, so is it you or me?
It's you, I think. Right, we were on number 7.
All right, all aboard the crazy train. My final, number 7.
That? If that's the movie that I think it is, that was so not the right way to introduce it, man. Like,
All right, well, my number 7 is the first English movie by director Bong Joon-ho.
Woohoo!
And that movie is Snowpiercer, based on a comic book. Now,
A French comic book.
A French comic book, which I might say that most comic books that aren't about superheroes usually make really awesome movies that are actually better than the comic book movies.
I agree with you.
Yeah, I mean, History of Violence, Oldboy, great comic book movies. But, like, most people wouldn't even know that they were based on comic books.
Mm-hmm.
And that is the way with Snowpiercer. It's set in a dystopian, kind of Ayn Randian future where everybody in the world's died, or so they claim, because the world freezed over because of global warming. And
they've proven pretty effectively that nobody survived outside the train. They showed very specific moments where you can see it is unlivable.
Okay. Well,
I just rewatched this movie.
Okay.
Yeah. We saw it 4th of July. Literally the 4th of July. Middle of summer. It was cold that day though, but but I did rewatch it.
And it was even colder watching the movie.
Yeah.
One of the things that I really like is I've always liked Bong Joon-ho. I liked him the first minute I saw The Host. The Host was the first movie I saw of his. Then I kind of went back and watched, Memories of Murder, Mother, and what?
No. I'm sorry, you said it.
Yeah, and he has a great track record. But usually, what's really scary. Are you looking at my list?
No, I'm sorry.
All right.
Out.
No. Usually, what really scares me about, especially Asian directors, is that English transfer.
There was no English gap in this movie.
Is that moment where they start marketing themselves, where they make an English language film, and they it's not just a language barrier. It's almost like they're trying to cater to, an audience that isn't Asian.
Gotcha.
And Bong Joon-ho completely throws that away. He's like, this is a Korean movie in English.
And that's exactly what it feels like. I was so happy. I'm just saying this right now because you brought this point up. I was so happy when this movie came out because I know certain people that will not watch foreign language films. And I told them to watch this movie so they could understand how incredible Korean cinema is right now, because they won't watch other movies. They won't.
Yeah, well,
And I feel like they miss out a lot on that, quite honestly.
Well, if you don't watch movies because, you can't read or you can't...
I know some people aesthetically don't enjoy not understanding. They don't want to be in that sort of situation for 2 hours or something, where you can't understand what you're hearing.
Okay. I'm sorry that I've been watching subtitled movies since I was 9 years old, so I don't get it, but I believe you.
Well, I mean, the auditory sense is one of our strongest senses besides our sense of smell.
Yeah.
So people are actually a lot less forgiving to something that sounds bad or sounds bad to them than something that looks bad.
Right. Yeah, I hear you there. Yeah.
Nothing else to say about Snowpiercer?
Well, okay.
It's on my list too, so we can talk about it later.
Yeah, we'll talk about it later. Okay. So I'll let you go.
Okay, well, my number 6 pick was Birdman.
Wait. Oh, yeah.
Birdman, or The Unexpected Virtue of Ignorance, which I'm glad that they have a very short title, because The Unexpected Virtue of Ignorance is too long. I do enjoy the score, and I like the fact that the music was diegetic. That was very cool. And obviously, the it's Alfonso Cuarón did the cinematography? Am I getting the wrong name? I think I am.
You're actually...
No, I'm getting the wrong name. I know it's not Alfonso Cuarón, but I know you know the cinematographer's name.
How the hell did I forget this one?
I know his name. I'm spacing right now. But
Yeah.
this cinematographer will be nominated just because of his name, and that's fair enough. But besides the fact that it was simulated to feel like it was all done in one take, the cinematography was beautiful. The cinematography was fantastic. But I adore Michael Keaton, and I always have, and I've always believed in him. And to see him in this film was so cool and just really awesome. this is a very character-driven movie. The plot, there's not a whole lot to the plot, really, but the characters really make it fascinating.
All right, just butting in here, the cinematography that you were referring to was Emmanuel Lubezki.
That's the name, Emmanuel Lubezki. I'm so sorry. I have those two connected in my mind, so I kind of got halfway there, and I got stuck.
Well, he worked on Gravity.
Yeah, exactly. But Michael Keaton was fantastic, and his character was fantastic. And I don't know a lot of Ed Norton. I know I've seen him before in plenty of stuff, but to me, this was Ed Norton's best performance. I loved his performance as like this fucking awful character. And Emma Stone was very, very cool. And there were a lot of great small performances. But this movie is really made up of characters and moments. And I like that. I like that sort of feeling. And the reason why I struggled between which one was higher on my list, this or Gone Girl, and I picked this one because it's a very unique feeling to the movie. Mm-hmm. It doesn't really feel like a lot of movies I've seen, and I really appreciate that more. But on the negative, everything with Birdman could have been cut, and it would have been a stronger film. Like, it really just felt like trailer bait. Yeah,
it did. And it also felt like what the director said of him, like, hating. Like, he said that superhero films were like Hollywood Holocaust or something like that.
Oh, yeah, he said something like that.
So, like, knowing that, you're going into a movie knowing that.
But I think that he was very intentional with picking Michael Keaton, having been Batman.
Yeah.
In, like, the hugely renowned at the time Tim Burton Batman movie. And then...
He's a washed-up superstar playing... now essentially is a washed-up superstar.
That's what I've always felt like was such a shame about Michael Keaton, was that he kind of played cheap roles before Batman, and then nobody wanted him to be Batman, and then he was Batman, and he was fantastic, and then he's been washed up ever since. But he's
Jack Frost,
fantastic. Man. Oh my God, Jack Frost is so bad. The more recent thing that he's done was The Postgraduate with Rory Gilmore. I bet you haven't even heard of that movie, and don't even watch it. It's a waste of time. It's not even interesting. It's boring. But he's in that, but he's a
Jackie Brown. Jackie Brown is all right.
Oh, Jackie Brown's a pretty good movie, but Michael Keaton...
Well, his performance in Jackie Brown was pretty decent.
Yeah, but he was the best part of Jackie Brown to me, but I loved him so much, and it was good to see him play like such a strong part and be recognized for it, and I appreciate that, but the actual Birdman elements was very weak. It wasn't put into the plot very well.
Yeah.
And it didn't really need to be there for any reason. And unfortunately, we had a bad audience when we saw it.
Oh yeah, our audience
stone cold the whole time.
Yeah, well that's the problem. 60, 70-year-old types, I'm not saying that that's what they were, but like the senior citizen age group, and that's like anybody over the age of 60, possibly some 50-year-olds. It might be up your alley, but, I do know that there are people that go into movies that, like, certain modern sensibilities just don't work on them, and this, there were some jokes that were kind of raunchy and stuff like that,
but they were stone cold the whole movie.
Yeah, they were stone.
There was no reaction.
Yeah. Yeah, it was bad.
Yeah, and then my last note about this is I just said that I liked it because it didn't feel like a lot of other things, but just as a sort of hook, I'll put it out there. If you like Louis C.K.'s show, you'll like Birdman.
Definitely has a lot of Louis inspiration.
I wouldn't say a lot, but there are a couple moments that do have a similar vibe. And it is like that balding old man living in New York City with a jazz backdrop to the music.
Yeah.
That oddly specific thing.
Yeah.
But, that's my number 6 pick. Oh, and very quickly, as much as I did not enjoy the Golden Globes, Michael Keaton's speech was very heartfelt and beautiful. And it touched me. Not in an inappropriate way, because that would be weird. Okay, number 6 for you.
All right, number 6. Everything's a little bit more awesome on my list because my number 6 is the Lego Movie.
Woo-hoo!
Lego Movie, not only was it the best animated movie this year, it was the most fun movie. It was even more fun than Guardians of the Galaxy.
Oh, that's a
which
tough
was
one
a
for me to
real
say.
fun movie for me. But like Lego Movie was smart.
So smart.
Very smart movie. And being that it's based off of the most reputable and popular toy franchise ever,
That
did not
encouraged
feel like a
creativity.
product placement movie at all.
No.
Which blew my mind.
Mm-hmm.
How does a movie with that much clout, Legos? I mean,
It's called the Lego Movie.
yeah, it's called the Lego Movie.
Well,
And-
Lego, I feel like is the most creative,
Yeah.
children's product that really
I-
encourages them to do whatever they want to do.
And I gotta tell you, if they don't have a Lego Movie fucking ride
Oh, that
in
would be
3
so
years
cool.
at fucking Legoland,
Oh, that would be so cool.
they are missing the greatest opportunity. They should have Vitruvius. Is that his name? Morgan Freeman?
Oh, yeah, I think so. It was something like that.
Yeah,
Morgan Freeman,
Yeah,
whatever.
they should have like Morgan Freeman. Like you get in line, it's like, oh, you are,
Yeah.
you are the builder, and stuff like that. Yeah, it would be really cool to like incorporate it into a ride. But like going aside from that, it's not just a ride; it's a great film, and actually has heartfelt moments. You care about all the
Very
characters.
heartfelt, and
Yeah.
I feel like it just delivered a very positive, strong, applicable moral that I haven't seen in a movie before.
Yeah, and in the words of Michael Moore, you can't make a better movie than a movie that has the main villain's name President Business.
Yeah, that was awesome.
Yeah, so yeah, number 6 for me. On to you.
Well, it's just a little bit of pop trivia. Do you know who played Emmett? Who did the voice acting for Emmett in the Lego Movie?
Emmett is the main character?
Yeah.
Oh. I do, and I forgot.
Star-Lord.
That's right. I was about to say that, but yeah.
Star-Lord. Yeah.
Now, what's that actor's name? Time for...
Isn't it Chris Pratt?
All right, I was going to give you the Chris game.
I know. There are so many Chris's in Hollywood right now, and they're all supposed to be hot.
Sexy.
Yeah, they're all supposed to be super sexy.
I'm not into men, but
Chris Pratt's the only one I actually find attractive, so.
Really?
No.
More than Chris?
Chris Hemsworth?
Yeah.
His head's too small for his body, but mostly, it's not that they're unattractive, they're just not my type. That's not my type. I don't like pretty
You
boys.
don't like the Thor type?
No, I don't. I don't like body built, and I don't like pretty boys. That's it. Alright, well for me, my number 5 was Snowpiercer by Jung-ho Bong. I always feel horrible speaking Korean because I know my pronunciation is terrible. I know I have horrible pronunciation. But yeah, we saw this in the middle of summer, but it was not a summer blockbuster, which is funny because the blurb on the poster was everything you ever wanted in a Transformers movie. And I feel like you have no idea what a Transformers movie is if you had just seen Snowpiercer and that's what you wanted out of it. That was a weird comparison.
Yeah, especially because, you go into that movie and then there's, where are the ass shots? Where's the
objectification of insanely sexy women who have no personality?
Yeah, I mean,
where's the stupid
insanely sexy women Tilda Swinton with dentures?
Yeah.
Or Allison Pill with a machine gun. Which is spoiler.
Yeah,
I
you
am
shouldn't
sorry.
have said that. Oh, that was a bad spoiler. Okay, for my spoiler-free analysis, the reason why this was really high for me was because I thought that the allegory was brilliant. I thought that what the movie had to say was so smart and so cool. And actually, this is a spoiler. I thought it was very impressive that the movie was about first world countries. We're built on this system where everybody is built on top of each other, and if you break through that class thing, if you break through it, then there's no way to fix it. Like, we're so far gone that we can't fix it, we can't replace it, and the closest thing we could do is just entirely destroy it to where everybody but 2 people are dead, and then they run into a polar bear who eats them.
Yeah.
Like, that's where we are in first world countries like the United States. So I think that's also a big part of the reason why he made an English-speaking movie. Is because it felt like uplifting America.
If it were any other animal but a polar bear.
Polar bears are not the only man-eating mammal.
Oh, but they are well known as man-eaters.
They are man-eaters, though. They are. And
that's why they had them in laws.
One 17-year-old girl and one little tiny baby are not going to survive against a polar bear. Yeah. And if they do, for how long? But anyways, spoiler
17-year-old drug addict girl, by the way.
They weren't drug addicts, though.
They weren't?
No, because they were collecting... No, because they were doing it for... Sorry, okay. Spoiler that I'm not going to spoil. But I thought that the allegory was great. And this film was brutal. There were some parts when I rewatched it that I almost couldn't watch. Like, they were... This was a brutal movie. But the action set pieces were all so fantastic and so creative. And the train and the history of, like, the setup for how they got there
I'm going to put my shoe on your head.
Oh, my God. But those were both so well thought out and so smart. Like Kubrick well thought out. And I appreciated that.
I think that might be going a little bit for it.
Well, I'm not saying like it was the quality of Kubrick, but you know, Kubrick is so intentional. Mm-hmm. And it wasn't just lazily, everybody's on a train. You know, there was a lot more thought put into it. That wasn't expositionalized, but came out in small bits, or that you could kind of infer. And I thought that was really smart.
Part of me felt like this is the best adaptation of BioShock that we're ever going to get. Because the train was essentially Rapture from BioShock.
Yeah. And then, if you didn't know that this was a comic book movie, there are certain shots in the film, and I mean this in a very positive way, that totally give away that it's supposed to be based on a comic book. There are some shots that are, like, still drawn scenes. The one that comes to mind is the scene where the young girl says, "Don't open the door," and the door's open behind her, and she has, like, this look on her face and her hands outstretched, and, like, if you pause that, it looks like a comic book. But, anyway, the photography, the production design, the score, the script, the costuming, and the lighting were all phenomenal. The action set pieces were, like, mind-blowingly smart and very, like, edge of your seat. And, like I said, it was super brutal. And Kang Ho Song, who, he was in The Good, the Bad, and the Weird, The Host, Lady Vengeance, and Sympathy for Mr. Vengeance, was great in this movie. Chris Evans was great. Tilda Swinton I kind of found to be a little bit over the top. Not her fault, that's the way her character was written. She did a good job acting the part, but I thought that her part was kind of over the top. Just very strong, very impactful, and had a couple of minor editing issues that were okay. And then just a small plug, Every Frame's a Painting YouTube has a great video about the use of right and left in this film that is very simple and strong, and I really appreciated that.
All right, coming in at my number 5 is my only pick from a woman director, and that is none other than the Australian horror / psychological drama film, and that's the Babadook. The Babadook is a fantastic film, for somebody who generally does not like supernatural horror films, offered a lot. Like I'm the type of person that you throw The Exorcist at me, you throw all these movies at me, and it's like it doesn't scare me because it's like, oh, well, this isn't real. Obviously, like I don't believe in ghosts, therefore movies about ghosts or possessions don't scare me. I mean, even sci-fi movies like Alien scare me more than, movies about ghosts.
Yeah.
Babadook is a great film even without the Babadook.
And by that you mean the horror elements.
Yeah, I mean, it's a great film without the horror elements. It's about a mother who's struggling with, she's struggling with grief, she's struggling with a son who is very troubled, and everything in the film feels very genuine. No part of her character feels out of place with how a woman struggling with all this stuff would do.
Yeah.
I mean, it feels, and like...
She's very much not a structure or an archetype or a stereotype or an idealized model.
Right. Yeah, I mean, the Babadook is absolutely fantastic. Essie Davis is the actress.
Yes, Essie Davis and Noah Wiseman star in this movie. Noah Wiseman is the son.
Though, I gotta tell you, the real impressive thing about this is first-time director Jennifer Kent. Mm-hmm. I'm looking forward to whatever she does next.
She was an actress before she was a director, but this is her directorial debut. I'm looking on IMDb right now. Unfortunately, there isn't anything coming up next, but hopefully it's something good, because if it's anything as good as Babadook, and hopefully nothing like Babadook 2 or anything like that. If it's anything like that, I'm psyched. I mean, I could go into more detail, but I have a feeling it might be on your list. Yeah. Do you mind if I add a little bit about Jennifer Kent?
Yeah, sure.
I really appreciate the fact that, I'm going to say it because she's a female director, I appreciate how gutsy she is in real life, because her story is incredible. She was an actress. She never went to film school. She never studied it. And she wrote an original script for the Babadook. That all came out of her brain, and the Babadook is not a mythological character. It's not from folklore. She created it. And she wrote the script herself, and she wanted to make it a movie. So she wrote Lars von Trier, who, if you ever look at his interviews, he's scary. I don't know, I find him really scary. I find him intimidating, quite honestly. And she wrote him
I actually sympathize with Hitler.
Yeah. She just wrote him and asked if she could watch him direct and if she could learn from watching him. And he said yes. And that's how she learned. And she's just self-taught. And she got some funding for this movie, but then she kickstarted it successfully and got it released all over the world. And now she has a book campaign for the Babadook book, and that has been successful as well. She needed 2,000 people to order the book for it to be successful and to get it made. And last time I checked, it was 5,000.
But I will tell you that there are probably many people that are like, oh, cool, it has a book, I'll probably get it. And then they watch the movie and they're like, fuck no.
Yeah. No, but I appreciate that she's so gutsy and go out there and do it yourself, and she's made it happen, and she's a self-made director, and she's still at that time though where every bit of support is critical and helpful. So that's why I really push her on people a lot, is because every movie ticket and every rental, like, this is one movie I'm like, please don't pirate it, just please pay a little bit of money. And if you don't want to order the $80 book, that's fine. But pay a little bit of money because every bit is helping a really interesting, successful director.
Yeah, support what's good, you know. Michael Bay will get your money in one way or another.
Yeah.
So, you know, support the films that you actually want to see versus the films that your friends drag you to or that your sensibilities, for whatever reason, drag you to.
Yeah. All right.
All right, what's your number 5?
Number 4. Number 4 for me is actually the movie that I know is going to be nominated for Best Picture. Boyhood by Richard Linklater. And Boyhood is very special to me because it was filmed over 12 years, but I am the exact same age now when I see it for the first time as the main character was. So, and it was filmed all over the areas that I grew up. I recognized a lot of the places they filmed because I had been there. Because I grew up in Texas, and I had family all over Texas, so I grew up all over that area, and I was the same age, and it really is a time capsule of that time and that place. And there were a lot of little things that either I knew was genuinely true, or that I had even forgotten. And when I saw it, I was like, oh my god, yes, that's right, that was totally a thing, wow. But, so... For that reason, it holds a very special place in my heart. But besides that, obviously the fact that it was filmed over 12 years is incredible and very fortuitous that nobody had issues and had to drop out or couldn't make it for the filming once a year for 12 years. Acting is fantastic all over the board. Unfortunately, the main actor didn't stand out a whole lot to me. But a lot of attention is going to Ethan Hawke and Patricia Arquette. And I thought Lorelai Linklater was a joy in that movie.
Yeah.
Richard
Linklater's daughter is fantastic.
She is so cool. I adored her in that movie. And I really like to root for good child actors. But for me, the main character wasn't bad. He was totally fine. He just he didn't stand out a whole lot.
I thought he stood out a little bit more when he was younger.
That's what I thought, too. That's what I thought. But I feel like that actually... I've seen that happen to all of my friends when I grow up, where they're fascinating and interesting as children, and when they grow up into teenagers, they kind of just become... Like, they sort of fade away. I've seen that happen a lot, and that was the same feeling I was getting from the main character in this movie, honestly. So, it's hard to fault it for that, because it just felt natural. But, I don't agree with having this nominated for Best Script, because I feel like it was a very good balance of script and improvised. And it's not a fault against the movie. It's just how I felt. And
you mean Best Screenplay?
Best Screenplay, yeah.
Okay.
Oh, what, is script just for stage plays and screenplay?
It works.
No, it works. It's just there were screenplays that were phenomenal for being screenplays, and that's just not what this movie was not scripted, and that's the beauty of it. That's why I don't understand that nomination.
No, it was scripted.
No, I mean, it was, but not all of it.
Richard Linklater said
and evolved.
He adapted the screenplay over time.
No, but that's why I'm saying it's a good balance between the two. It wasn't overly scripted, and it wasn't overly improvised, because too much of either will hurt you. And this film got it exactly right. Look at how many movies have like
10 screenwriters.
Right. No, but what I'm trying to say is that even though I don't think it's Oscar worthy for the screenplay, that's a strength for it. That's what I'm trying to say.
Yeah.
And that's it. Oh, the other thing was that there were so many personal touches from the actors and from the directors that seeped into the movie that gave it a lot of heart too. And it didn't feel generic. It really it didn't feel any sort of even a little bit generic.
Yeah.
I'm done.
All right. Well, my number 4 is, every once in a while, I really like the Fire and Brimstone. And, I also really dig religious movies. So my number 4 is Noah.
Wow.
Yeah.
That actually really surprises me because I thought I liked the movie more than you did. I didn't think it was on your list.
Oh, Noah's definitely.
I really didn't think it was on your list.
Yeah.
I'm pleasantly surprised.
So, Noah is a really, really compelling film. And like, I think it's a film that really, really balances this idea of, what does divine inspiration even mean? Like when somebody is talked to by God, like what does that actually look like? What does that actually, how is that interpreted? Is it just like a voice? Some people would argue that it isn't. Like it's more of like a feeling and that sort of thing. And Noah really tackles that. Noah is a no punches pulled different look at this idea of religious zealotry. And it's something that we don't normally see because like most of the religious movies that come out are made for TV, or they're idealized. I mean, like every once in a while we'll get like a Last Temptation of Christ, or the Gospel according to Saint Matthew, I think it is.
Or Prince of Egypt.
Prince of Egypt
actually did have a very dynamic look at Moses and Ramesses, so I would include that on the list.
So I mean, but at the same time, usually big budget production Bible movies almost always good, and
like entirely 100% go Christianity positive.
Well, no, I mean like tons of money gets pumped into it.
Oh, you mean good quality wise?
I mean like tons of money. Like I'm talking blockbuster level. Blockbuster.
Exodus, Gods and Kings, which neither of us saw this year, even though we wanted to.
We'll check it out. Unfortunately, we won't see the scope of it because we'll probably watch it on Blu-ray or something. But
the scope of it on IMAX for Noah was worth it.
Yeah, it was totally worth it. And as far as the rock monsters goes, one thing that I actually
call them rock monsters, though. I'm just saying they're not.
Well,
they're fallen angels, and it fits in the story.
I forget the actual term for it.
Oh, the Watchers. That's what they were called in the movie.
The Watchers actually comes from the whole concept for Noah actually doesn't come from biblical scripture, and by biblical I mean the traditional, New Testament, Old Testament scripture. It actually comes from a book that is part of Jewish understanding, which is the Book of Enoch. I don't know if it's canonical, but I do know that there is a book that talks about the Watchers and all this stuff, and so that there are actual creatures, so that it's not actually betraying the story. It's just a different interpretation that most people are not familiar with. So it's not really just pulling things out of midair. It is actually coming from...
No, like I said, it was surprisingly close. I've heard a lot of people say, "Oh, but this wasn't in the Bible, and this wasn't right, and this wasn't..." And most
but
of the time...
But at the same time, it's 2 pages!
No, but usually when they say things like that, I'm like, no, I remember that. Yeah. That is in the biblical story. There are a lot of parts that people pointed to and said, "Oh, I don't remember that." You might not remember it, but I remember it. It was there. I remember that part, and I know how this part happened from the Bible.
Yeah.
One thing I have to say, this movie was like heart-wrenching at times, in a good way.
Yeah.
Like, it was very good, and the way that they paint humanity and the human cities was terrifying.
Yeah.
Genuinely. And it changes Noah. He doesn't see that his whole life, and then he goes to see why, sort of as an explorer. Well, he went actually to find wives for his son to take on the ark.
Yeah.
Because 2 of everything. So
well,
he needs to find wives for his son.
Except Ham kind of got screwed.
No, but this is what happened. He went to the cities to find wives for his sons, and he just saw the face of humanity as it was at that time, and it's horrifying. It is so scary, and it changes him, and he forgets about the wives, and he comes back, and spoiler, he decides humanity should die. He understands why God is telling them that there needs to be a flood and to be washed out, but then he takes it a step further and decides that there will be no wives, there will be no mating, there will be no more children, and they're going to be the last of humanity. They were just there to save the animals, and then they're all going to die. Because even they all have a touch of that within themselves. That's dark. That's gruesome.
Yeah.
And that's scary. And it's honest. I thought that was fascinating.
Yeah. So what's your number 4?
Number 3 for me.
Sorry, we're going backwards.
Number 3 for me is Nymphomaniac. Because after I saw that movie, I was speechless. Because I was so touched by the movie. Which is strange. It's not because it was about sex. It's not what it was.
I mean, it was partly about sex.
No, it was partly about sex, but that's not why. It was so raw. Again, not because of the sex, but it was just such a raw, open, honest look into what humanity is like in a more modern context. Not in a, scientific, what is man, but just this is how we are now. That I just found really compelling and very touching, the good and the bad all together. And it was just very honest, and that really made a big impact on me when I saw it. And obviously it's a well-made film. I can even go on and on. Oh, the production design is fantastic, and the format is great, and the script is beautiful, and the photography is great, and all this stuff. But it's not even about any of that, really, for me. It's just, it was just, it was just such an honest exchange between two human souls that, I won't talk about the ending, but until that point, it's just, it was a very beautiful thing to see happen, and it was very emotional, and I was legitimately touched in a way that I actually have not been touched by a film before. I've not really had that experience with a movie. It very rarely have felt that way with a book either. And it was just a very beautiful experience for me, so. That's all I have to say. I can't even really talk about it. It was just...
Left her speechless.
It really did, though. I couldn't even talk. The only other film that has left me speechless, ironically, was The Piano. But that was just because I was letting the film really sink in. But there's just something about... But here's the problem. I like Nymphomaniac, and I can be very frank about what I like and what I feel, but it's really difficult to say that I was legitimately touched by Nymphomaniac. That just does not sound right. I can't tell people that's one of my favorite movies. Because it just sounds weird. But that's it. I can't even.
Alright. Well, coming in at number 3 for me is a very, very wonderful, wonderful movie. And it's much higher on my list than yours. Much, much higher on my list than yours. And that is Dawn of the Planet of the Apes.
Well, to be fair, I feel like I like Rise of the Planet of the Apes more than you like Rise of the Planet of the Apes. But I know that you love Dawn more than I do.
Well, I think part of that comes with having having kind of a passion for this idea that humans aren't
No, because
so important
I have
in the
that
world.
passion too, and before we've ever started talking,
Yeah.
that was a major thing for me. So I don't think that's why. But I know that's why it is dear to you.
Well, one of the other reasons why Dawn is so dear to me is usually villains are very one-dimensional. Usually, I mean, for a long time, you know, sci-fi used to be very allegorical, used to talk about profound things, you know, used to illustrate something about humanity, you know, in a profound way. I mean, you look at the movies of the 50s, 60s, 70s, you know, science fiction films. They illustrated these points, and then we kind of stepped away from that. We just got into the spectacle and really stepped away from that. And Dawn has so much of the spirit of the original Planet of the Apes series. It feels, I would even say, even more dear than the original series. I am more drawn to the apes.
The apes, absolutely, and the ape society and the characters, and like I said before, I think it all comes from the dedication of the actors, more than the script or anything like that. 100%, I agree with you that this film, character-wise, for the apes and their relationships with each other and their community is the best we've seen from Rise or any of the original series. Absolutely, 100% on board with you on that.
I think Andy Serkis might get an honorary Oscar because
I think so too, and I hope so. I love him.
I don't think the Oscars are ready to accept motion capture performance as acting in the actor category,
which is a shame because it is. It is. It's a different kind, though.
It's a different kind.
That's the
thing. And that is the disconnect for them. But at the same time, look at how old those guys are.
Yeah.
Yeah. You know. So, but
well, look at how old Andy Serkis is. I'm not calling him like an old geezer or nothing, but I'm saying he's 55 and he is like a freaking pioneer. Yeah. And he's always challenging himself, and he's doing new things for himself.
But he's an actor. I mean, that's what...
No, but now Andy Serkis is trying to become a filmmaker.
Yeah.
Like, he's on sets doing, like, behind-the-scenes work on films now, and he's directed a few shorts, and now he's trying to direct a feature film. Like, he's making stuff happen, and he's not satisfied with what he's done. He keeps going and going. So I don't feel it's fair for you to bring age into it, because he really is like 55, and he's great.
Well, 55 is young compared to the Academy, which is much older.
Okay, well,
yeah.
I'm not sure about. I'm not disagreeing with you. I just don't know.
Yeah. So, what's your number 3?
Oh, we just did
number 2.
Are you done with Dawn? Are you done? You don't want to talk about the parts that made you cry?
So, yeah. I love the fact that this movie kind of did away with the humans. You saw that as a flaw. I saw it as a strength.
No.
We get so many movies that are just about, like, you know, it becomes focused.
No. I didn't want more from the humans. I just wanted better from the humans. I liked that there weren't a lot of humans, but that came at the price of not caring about them, and I felt like that could have been done better.
Okay.
Because I've seen minimalist characters really pull through. Like in Noah, the girl that Ham meets in the city she's almost not even in the movie. She's seriously almost not even in the movie, and she makes such a huge impact. You could have done that somehow. I'm not really sure if it's an issue with the script or the actors or maybe even the direction, but that pulled away from the feeling of Planet of the Apes for me.
All right.
But it was fantastic and awesome and so much cooler to just have a movie with apes.
Yeah.
That was great.
And what really sold the movie to me was 2 lines repeated. Human work.
Oh my god. No, it was one word repeated 3 times. Or it was one line repeated 3 times.
Yes.
Human work.
Yeah.
Human work. Human work.
Yeah. It was really good.
Heart-wrenching. Heart-wrenching. Really.
Toby Kebbell as Koba was fantastic. I'll be surprised if there is another non-circus ape that can match that performance.
Toby Kebbell is amazing, but I wish more praise would go to Terry Notary, because he was Rocket, but he was also their movement choreographer. He was teaching everyone to be apes.
Yeah, so
He was a huge driving force behind this movie being successful.
Yeah, he takes a lot of so okay, I see your point.
I'm not saying he was better than Toby Kebbell. I'm sorry. I just wanted to throw that out there, that he is also like a huge factor to this movie being as amazing as it is.
Yeah. All right. So, and to me, what also got me was just how inevitable war sometimes is.
Yeah,
and
this film still had a message, and it was frank, but it was effective.
And I will tell you that as much as I've been pumped up for sequels, I probably have not been more pumped up for a sequel than at the end of Dawn.
Yeah. I mean, it's funny. The last time I was so pumped up for a sequel since the end of Dawn was the end of Rise. Seriously.
Yeah. Well, and I'm also waiting for my District 9 sequel.
Yeah.
So. District 10, when are you coming? Screw Chappie, District 10!
Yeah, I'm not sure how to feel about Chappie right now, honestly.
Your name's Chappie. Anyways, so, I could probably go at great lengths about my love for Dawn of the Planet of the Apes, but...
I feel we have to bring it up again, though. The scene that made you tear up. When Maurice is teaching all of the baby apes the 3 laws in the classroom.
Yeah. I got a thing for the 3 laws.
That was a beautiful scene.
But
that was something I wish was more with the humans. Like, there was no dialogue. There was almost no time put into that. And that was such a standout scene that, like, touched both of us deeply.
Some of the best work in the Apes series is work done with no dialogue.
Yeah, I agree.
I honestly, part of me wants to see that done with the human characters, too.
I agree.
Which we might get in the future once the humans lose their voices.
Yeah, that would be cool. Actually, that's a good point.
All of a sudden, the humans are going to start acting like Circus did in the first film.
Yeah, that would be really cool.
Just imagine like a whole bunch of what is it?
But
Holly, we're gonna see a whole bunch of like Holly hunters, walking around and like communicating with like sign language and stuff like that because they lost their voice, or they could just be brutes, because that's what the original series. That's how it looked
in the original series, yeah.
But is this?
But I thought in Dawn, they were very smart about when to not have any communication and to just let the visual speak or let the mood speak. When to sign and really communicate in a heartfelt way, or when to speak. Because in this film, speaking is still extraneous.
Yeah. I am going to argue with you a little bit on one human character. I thought Jason Clarke did a fantastic job as Malcolm.
Who, the main guy?
Yes. He was the leader. He was the lead representative of the humans. I think Jason Clarke
he was okay. He was mild-mannered, very, how do you call it? Expositional. Honestly. Meh. I don't know. It's just very lukewarm. Best performance human-wise, I actually thought was Gary Oldman. Because the scene where his iPad comes back on and he sees his family and he sees his war buddy and like all his memories of his life before all this happened was a beautiful scene with no dialogue.
Well,
beautiful scene.
But it's Gary Oldman, man.
Well, exactly.
I mean,
no, it's
Leon the Professional.
Most of the
holy shit! I mean, Gary Oldman is fantastic.
But most of the human,
pretty much anything.
But most of the human interactions were so expositional, having to explain everything, and
damn the dam.
Yeah. Well, I thought that the simple plot of they just need a dam and that turns into war was actually super effective to keep it that simple.
Yeah.
But I'm saying the characters were so expositional with each other and explaining their relationships and their history and their past, and you don't need all that. You just don't. It's not interesting. And it doesn't help you get to know them better. That's it. I'm done.
All right, so I'm gonna let you go.
For my number 2?
What is your number 2?
Maybe it'll be in your top 2, but I doubt it, and this surprises me that I think you might have forgotten this movie. But actually my number 2 is Gett, The Trial of Viviane Ansalem.
And it's a fantastic movie.
Fantastic movie. It's an Israeli foreign language film that was written and directed by siblings Ronit Elzabet and Shlomi Elzabet. And
I actually got to meet Shlomi Elzabet because he was in my directing class.
Oh, that's right. I forgot. Yeah. We saw him at the screening.
Yeah.
And then you got to see him in person later.
Yeah, we had spent 2 hours with him.
Yeah. What did you say? What did you get out of that?
Well, I asked him one question. I actually asked him about the dress scene.
The dress scene.
The red dress.
Oh.
Yeah. I was asking him about stuff like that, the color choices and stuff. But going on.
Okay. Well, this film, the siblings have both come out and said it's loosely based on their mother's experience trying to get a divorce in Israel with the Israeli laws being
rabbinical court.
Yes. But they've both also said that the character in the movie is not their mother. But that's sort of where the idea came from. And it's a very minimalist film. There's almost no music or score or anything like that. Or any kind of sound design. There's
when the score comes in,
it only comes in twice.
It only comes in twice.
For
very
two
effective,
short
very
minutes.
effective, very good music.
No, but I'm trying to get to the point though.
Okay.
There's very little music. There's only one set. There's one building where you see a courtroom and a waiting room, and that's all you see. That's all that they filmed in. Very minimalist in that sense. Almost no design or a minimalist design. Very little to be said on
12 Angry Men.
It is. It's in a courtroom. It's a courtroom drama.
It's a very
but not in a grand sort of courtroom drama. It's very
well. I mean, it's more along the lines of 12 Angry Men, where it's people.
But every choice is very strong, and the lack of sort of filmic handiwork. I hate to say that, but a lot of films, and especially all the films that we've had on our top 10, have had so much filmic work put into it in terms of the production design, the sound, the photography, all this stuff. And it didn't need that, and it was just very effective and direct, and it was all about the characters and it was about the performances, and that's all it needed to be. It was about the story and everybody in it and every single character stood out. I remember every single person that I saw on screen. They all stood out, and they were all memorable, and they were all very human. There was no caricaturing work to it, and it's, you know, it's a woman trying to be divorced from her husband, and the husband doesn't want a divorce, but it's not, you know, oh, he's so evil. Oh, there was no mistreatment. Like, it's hard to say, because it's hard for them, either one of them, to discuss their marriage. But there's no rape scene. There's no, she comes into the courtroom with a black eye or something. Because that's not what it's about. It's not that he's evil. They're just not
compatible.
They're not compatible. And both of them have said so. And everybody who's met them has said so. It's not that one of them's bad and one of them's a victim. They're just not compatible. And that simple reason is not enough to undo the difficulties.
All right.
Once
again, I'm just going to repeat the title of the movie because.
Oh yeah, it's Gett with Gett. The Trial of Viviane Ansalem.
It's going to be a hard movie to find, probably, unless it gets nominated, and then it'll be easy.
Yeah.
It did get nominated for a Golden Globe.
No, Israel submitted that to the Oscars as their nomination for their country.
They only use 5 or 6 films.
No, I know, but I'm saying that's a good first move, you know.
Right. Yeah, I think it will probably get like some release.
Yeah,
DVD.
and it's my pick for best foreign language film. But the other thing about it that's this is most of the reason, unfortunately, why this is my top 2. It probably would have been my top 3 or like my 3rd or 4th pick without this. Like, it still would have been very high. But this film it got quite a large release in Israel, and a lot of working politicians saw it and have started discussing changes and revisions in Israeli law. And I think it's amazing that a film or a work of art of any kind is actually making a difference in the world, like a real difference, and is actually affecting lives of so many people who, whether or not they've seen it or not. But this film just made a very, very strong impact, and on me personally. But I think it's so admirable that it's made this sort of impact on the world.
Yeah,
that's insane. Like, it's almost unfathomable to me. Like, I can't even picture it. Like, that's incredible. So, yeah.
All right. Well, my number 2 is Boyhood. As somebody who's grown up as a boy,
oh, that's fair.
There's a
that's
lot.
Totally fair.
There's a lot to relate to with this film. Also, I feel that I really relate to the younger version.
I do too.
Of the main character, and I do think that, you know, as we get older, our universal sensibilities do tend to stray away.
Yes, I agree.
And so, whereas as the film progresses, I do think that it loses some of the very impactful moments early on in the film. I still think it's overall a fantastic film, and my pick for Best Picture winner at the Oscars.
I think it will win Best Picture, but it's not, like, I wouldn't say that that's the movie I want to win Best Picture.
Yeah, well, I think one,
but if it wins, I will be happy. You know, it's not like, oh, boo.
I think it will share a lot in common with another film that incorporated 12 years.
Yeah, because the original title of Boyhood was 12 years, and then they kind of had to change it close to the last minute.
Yeah.
No, I like what Jack Black had to say, though, when he was really frank, and he was like, come on, guys, like, yeah, it was filmed over 12 years, but it was filmed in 12 weeks, spread out over 12 years. I appreciate that.
Dallas did a little bit longer. That went on for like 15 seasons, I think.
Season? Are you talking about a TV show?
Yup.
No, but this was like 12 weeks total.
Right.
But
I'm talking about a TV show that went on for like 15
that's
seasons.
Fine,
so.
but I kind of appreciated his frankness about the movie, though, because I think that a lot of the clout about the movie is that, oh, well, he filmed it over 12 years. But if you take that away, if you don't think about it or you don't know about it or whatever, it's still worthy of Best Picture.
Yeah.
I appreciate that, really.
Yeah, and it's a very heartfelt thing. To me, the strongest moments of the film had to do with alcoholism. There were moments in that movie that had a haunting realism of how alcoholism can affect lives. And to me, one of the most chilling total spoiler alert, turn off this podcast. But, just move it forward a minute. But the scene where they go away from the family that they were with.
Yes.
And just that question of what's going to happen to those kids is terrifying. What's even more terrifying is you never find out.
Yeah. Well,
and that's kind of how life is. There are some moments that you don't know what happened or what would happen. You got away from it, but yeah.
Yeah, that had a strong impact on me as well, because I've experienced that with people I was very close to more than once, more than twice, multiple times in my life. That exact same situation. So I agree with you. That was one of the most impactful moments.
So yeah, Boyhood, my number 2. And on to numero uno.
Alright, well, my number 1 pick for best movie that I saw this year was a gorgeously made film that was just so well done and so fantastical and interesting, and said so much about women's bodies and what it means to be human, and just all this really interesting stuff that I think is like almost like Kubrick-esque, and that's Under the Skin.
You can't even say that with a straight face.
I was trying so hard to do that joke, and I couldn't do it. I'm sorry, I tried to have such a poker face that I couldn't even do it.
Man, people are going to be listening to this going like, what? Under the Skin is not her number 1?
No, I'm sorry, that was a joke. But I am going to break my rule. I always call foul when people tie. And I've never even seen somebody tie number 1. And I'm so sorry. I know. But there's a very specific reason why. And it's because they were both films where the script was written. It was an original script written by a first-time director. And they were the 2 films of the whole year that as soon as I walked out of the theater, I immediately wanted to rewatch. But that feeling of wanting to see it again and experience it again hasn't faded, not even a little bit. And they've stuck so strongly in my mind. And like these 2 films, I seriously cannot stop thinking about. Like I think about them, I've thought about them every day since I've seen them. Seriously. Like they've just made that strong of an impact on me. So that's the reason why I've tied them. And that's Jennifer Kent's The Babadook. And unfortunately, and I think this is really the unsung hero of this year, not Babadook, really, is Dan Gilroy's Nightcrawler. Like, I'm so shocked that there wasn't more more to say about Nightcrawler. Because I came out of that film saying, best movie of the year. And I go to a film school, and every class I went to, I was like, who's seen Nightcrawler? None of them knew what I was talking about, first of all. And I was like, oh, the Jake Gyllenhaal movie. And they were like, oh, I kind of know it exists. I had 5 classes, and nobody had seen it in any of them. I still haven't met anyone besides you who has seen it. And at the Golden Globes, it was only nominated in one category.
One category.
One category, which it did not win. Like, this just blows my mind that more people aren't talking about this fantastic movie.
I think it's just because people... Like, it's kind of a movie that gets under your skin.
Stop it. But, okay, I guess I'll keep going with Nightcrawler for a second, just because I'm on a roll with that. But, very well made film. The photography is incredible. The production design is fantastic. Like, really outstanding production design on it. And a very well crafted movie. And I love the script. And actually, the other thing that these two movies have in common is they are really creepy. Like, they're very unsettling. And, for
but
Nightcrawler...
one takes place in reality.
Hey, we don't know that. Actually, we don't know that. They could both take place in reality. You don't know. But for Nightcrawler, what's really fascinating is that this main character is the embodiment of, like, this all-American way where he's, like, pulling himself on his own, and he's, like, really enthusiastic and go get 'em and proactive, and the world is beating him up for that, and he has, like, this sensibility, but he's using it in, like, the entirely incorrect way to use it, which is fascinating and really scary, and he's a very unsettling individual. And Jake Gyllenhaal is fantastic, and he looked freaky. I'm not saying he's ugly, but he had such specific mannerisms that made him unsettling.
He actually changed his mannerisms for the movie. These are not Jake Gyllenhaal mannerisms.
Exactly. Like, it wasn't like a photograph of him. Like, he looked weird.
There is a subtlety. There is a depth that he goes in with just movement, the eye twitch.
Yeah.
The way that he widens his eyes, just everything about his performance. Like, first of all...
And his manner of talking is very off-putting, even though it's very polite.
First of all, if Jake Gyllenhaal does not win, the only way I will accept it is if it's for a performance that's better of a movie that I haven't seen yet.
Oh, yeah, maybe. Yeah, he's my number 1 pick for best lead actor.
I will say that I have not seen Whiplash yet.
Right. We haven't seen Whiplash, and we haven't seen Foxcatcher.
We haven't seen Whiplash, Foxcatcher, or Selma.
Oh, yeah, that's right. We haven't seen Selma either.
Those are 3 films that are shameful omissions, which may or may not change our list for 2014.
Yeah. But yes, Jake Gyllenhaal is my number 1 pick for best lead actor. Absolutely. Yeah. He was just something else.
That subtlety with acting makes him my number 1. Like, I do not think...
And it was fantastic.
I do not think... But, even how amazing whatever his name is... I forget his name.
What movie?
Whiplash.
Okay.
Even
Whiplash, dude.
Yeah. The guy that was in Spider-Man. The dad in Juno.
Oh, J.K. Simmons.
Yeah. Even as good as I've heard J.K. Simmons is, I've heard he's being pushed for lead, even though he's a supporting role.
I hate it when the Oscars do that, though.
But... yeah. But I'm going to hold... I'm going to hold whatever that performance is, because I heard it's amazing. I honestly don't think he can beat Jake Gyllenhaal's performance.
Yeah. I don't think so either, because he was just, like, an entirely different thing. Like, I've never seen that before. It was so good. But, the movie, it's just, it gets scary. It does get genuinely scary. And there are certain set pieces that I can't talk about. But one thing that I thought was really strong was that there's a lot that's very briefly alluded to that happens off screen. And I appreciate that, because honestly, I don't like a lot of gratuitous sex in movies. I don't. Gratuitous. I'm not, like, a prude, but it's just, like, sometimes it's just thrown in for the sake of it, and I don't like that. And, just for this very specific character, it's kind of, like, I don't know what's going on in the bedroom, and I know I don't want to know. That's the thing. I know I don't want to know. I know that much. But, you can tell exactly when it starts, and you know exactly how far it goes. And with only, like, 2 lines of dialogue total. Like, it's very, and only one from him and one from this other woman.
Renee Russo.
Well, I was trying not to give spoilers. But it's okay. But, yeah, I'm trying to keep it very vague, because I tell people, the only thing I tell people when they go into this movie is a Nightcrawler is somebody who films crime scenes and sells the footage back to the news company. That's really all you need to know, and if you go into this movie blind, you will be rewarded for it. But I've also said the same about the Babadook. And the Babadook, unfortunately, because of the name, most of the time when I hear people say is the Baba what? I don't know what that is. That just sounds silly. What is that? But this is a terrifying film. The director of The Exorcist did call this the scariest film he had seen. And don't play the audio. Don't play the audio. Don't spoil it. But it is a legitimately scary film. And if it's possible, I would totally elect Essie Davis and Noah Wiseman as Best Lead Actress and Best Supporting Actor, respectively. Like Ren said before, it's very strong without the horror elements, but the reason why this film is so terrifying is because this creature is a manifestation of her. A lot of people sort of say, oh, it's about the grief of her husband dying. And it's partly that, but I feel like more than that, it's everything. It is guilt and shame and blame and stress and anger. And I honestly think that, well, for now I'm going to say that if you just go into it without looking at a trailer and without looking at a poster, you will be rewarded for it. But major spoiler time. I feel like the Babadook, in addition to partially being about her husband, is more about her feelings towards her child. Because she is dealing with this very troubled child that needs special attention. And she is a single mother, and she doesn't have anyone supporting her. And she's struggling with him, and she blames the son because the dad died trying to get her to the hospital to give birth. She's frustrated with the son because he's violent and scary, and she doesn't know how to handle him, and she can't sleep, and she can't eat, and she gets angry with him because of the way he acts, and she hates herself for it, so she feels guilty. And this Babadook, who looks like her son, this design has been called kind of cheesy by a couple people, but it looks like her son because her son likes magic. So he wears a top hat and a cape and gloves. And he has curly hair and big eyes and a wide gaping mouth, and that's exactly what the Babadook looks like in the book and when he comes to her. And the Babadook has come out of events that have all been triggered by her son, Samuel. And I feel like it's a accumulation of everything, but I feel like that's why the horror elements work so well, is because it's built out of her real emotions. You know, it comes from a real place. Like you said, it's paranormal and it might not be reality, but it stems from a real emotion.
Look, I really have to go.
Claire, I think someone is stalking me and Samuel.
What?
A book turned up in a place. I threw it away. away, but somebody glued it back together and put it on our doorstep.
Amelia, I just can't help you right now.
I don't expect you to help. I just want
If
to...
you're that worried, you should go to the police. Let's go.
Claire. Hello?
So if you ever want to play a great prank on somebody who's seen the movie, just call them up and play that.
Yeah, because I don't think most people can do a good imitation. But, yeah, so I cheated. I'm a horrible, lying, cheating person, but I tied them, and I feel good about that.
All right. So my number one is an X-Men movie.
Nuh-uh.
And it is about a certain X-Men that transports himself from one place to another. He's blue, and he has a tail that looks like a spade. It is none other than Marvel's Nightcrawler.
That was a good prank. That was better than mine. And you thought of it up on the fly, didn't you?
No, I was actually holding on to
You
it.
were? Oh my god, we were planning on pranking each other the whole time?
Pretty much.
Oh my god, I didn't know that. I legitimately didn't know that. That's funny.
Yeah, so
And we had the same top pick, sort of.
Yeah, so my number one is not the X-Men Days of Future Past or Nightcrawler, Marvel Origins Nightcrawler, whatever it is. It is it's this wonderful film with Jake Gyllenhaal. It is essentially Taxi Driver meets The King of Comedy meets Network, but it is a fantastic film. And yeah, I mean, more people should see it. It's wonderfully shot. Jake Gyllenhaal gives a performance that makes some of his earlier work that I actually thought was really good. I really liked him in Donnie Darko. I really liked him in Brokeback Mountain. But this is a step above. Like, Nightcrawler really puts Jake Gyllenhaal, to me, as an A-list actor. So long as Jake Gyllenhaal puts this kind of effort in movies, he is like Matthew McConaughey. He is like Michael Fassbender. He can possibly be that actor that can do no wrong in the future if he keeps it up. I thought he was great in Prisoners. Mm-hmm. I still haven't seen Enemy, but now I'm kind of looking forward to it. He is an actor that I think is really going to shine, as the future comes. Not only do I think this film redeems him, even though I never thought he was bad, I think he's reached a new level with this film. Whether or not that was training or what.
He's going to be held to this.
Yes.
This will be his bar.
I would be very shocked if there is an acting performance that can compete with this. Now, I will say that because the Oscars always tries to be in the right place in history and all that kind of stuff, Selma might have a very strong
No, because last year they went with Dallas Buyers Club acting-wise, and then gave Best Picture to 12 Years a Slave, which was sort of a compromise.
Well, Nightcrawler is not going to win Best Picture.
I'm gonna be really genuinely upset if it's not nominated, though. I will be upset.
Nightcrawler will not win Best Picture. Whether it will be nominated is even a toss-up.
Yeah, but I came out of that movie
Jake
immediately
Gyllenhaal
feeling,
will
best
be
movie.
nominated as actor, and we will find out tomorrow. You will already know tomorrow, so I apologize if obviously you're listening to this after
Right.
the awards. So, that being said, let's go on to our honorable mentions.
Honorable mentions. Okay, well, let's see. I know I had Live, Die, Repeat, or Edge of Tomorrow. I don't know if it's Edge of Tomorrow, aka Live, Die, Repeat, or if it is Live, Die, Repeat. Edge
Or
of Tomorrow.
all you need is kill, Edge of Tomorrow, Live, Die, Repeat.
Yeah. But this, to borrow a blurb that I saw for Snowpiercer, this is what I always wanted out of a Transformers movie. It's closer, at least. It's extremely smart. It's actually, it does trust that the audience, I don't want to say it relies on, but it trusts that the audience can keep up.
Yeah.
Because there is a point in the movie where the plot has gone much further than the audience has. And it takes a minute. Like, it's a little bit of a whiplash to figure it out.
Yeah.
But it's fantastic that they put that kind of trust in the audience. That there is a lot of talking, and it's very complicated, sort of, but it's very smart.
Yeah,
Very intelligent.
If you ever wanted a Robert Heinlein Starship Troopers, and I'm not talking about the movie Starship Troopers. I'm talking about like hardcore Robert Heinlein Starship Troopers and Groundhog's Day meshed into one. That's what you'll get.
Yeah, and it was good. It was good acting by both Tom Cruise and Emily Blunt.
Well, Tom Cruise
And
can
Tom
do no
Cruise was-
wrong.
Well, Tom Cruise was very un-Tom Cruisey to start out with, which was good.
Tom
he had
Cruise
a
can do no
character.
wrong. Say what you will
Well, see,
about him as a person.
I say Emily Blunt's body can do no wrong. I mean, come on. I mean, yes, badass women are hot, but man, I liked her. She was cool.
Yeah.
But very good visual effects and a surprising amount of practical effects. The only issue was they filmed an ending that sounds much better, and then Hollywood shoehorned in this other thing, and that sucks. But yes, definitely Edge of Tomorrow was fantastic. Then I have Guardians of the Galaxy as an honorable mention for me.
Oh, and it made my list.
It made your list. It didn't make my list, honestly. Just because it was fluffy and it was fun, but those issues, the space issues, I couldn't deal with. Oh, but the ending, best save of the universe ever. My all-time favorite way to save the universe. Then definitely Tusk, Kevin Smith's movie this year, minus Johnny Depp. Johnny Depp equals Suckfest now in my book. He's not
Mordecai
doing
looks
anything.
bad.
Mordecai looks horrible. Oh my god, Mordecai looks painfully bad.
I wouldn't be surprised if Mordecai winds up on the Razzies.
Oh god, it looks awful though.
It definitely looks like a January-worthy movie, though.
Yeah, it does. Tusk and Red State are Kevin Smith's two most cinematic films as of right now.
I think Red State's a little bit more cinematic.
Oh, it is, but those are
Yeah.
the two. Tusk is still a pretty cinematic for a Kevin Smith movie, and it's the most bizarre movie. Like it's not the most bizarre movie, but it is bizarre and it's hilarious. I literally
definitely-
could not stop.
And definitely go into that movie, and for the love of God, don't do a Google image search.
Oh yeah, no! Don't you dare! Don't do it! Don't do it!
Don't spoil yourself.
Because the payoff
Trust me. They aren't gonna do a Jaws thing
and not show you
and not
you
show
see
you.
it.
You are going to see the walrus suit.
Yes, but Also,
on,
the
most people
the same guy who was in Red State and Tusk, the old guy. I hate calling him the old guy because he was so fantastic. He doesn't deserve old guy, but
Yeah,
he was,
I'll look him up.
He was a prize in this movie. He was amazing. Like, the movie would
I
not
think his
survive
name is
without
like
him.
Park something.
Well, the movie would not survive without him, honestly, because he made the movie. It was so good. But I literally, from walking Michael Parks, yes. From walking out of the movie theater, like actually out of the room where they have the screen to the car, I could not stop laughing. And I had to stop a couple times because I was laughing so hard I couldn't walk. This was just the funniest thing. And I loved it. Oh, it was so good. And then Inherent Vice. Surprisingly, I came out of it thinking it would be in my top 10. Didn't quite make it. Very fun, very funny, good acting, fantastic production design on it. I've heard some people say it was hard to follow. I personally didn't think so. But I enjoyed it. It was such an enjoyable movie. And that's a lot of what I've gotten this year. Was fun, enjoyable. And music vitamins. So, what about you?
All right, so my honorable mentions, like you said, Edge of Tomorrow, Tusk, hilarious.
Yes.
Blue Ruin.
Blue Ruin was fantastic.
Blue Ruin is a movie that more people should see. It's and this was a pretty good year. I don't think it was the best year just because like some of the strong picks other years have had stronger picks. But Blue Ruin is the most you could ask for an independent movie.
Yeah.
And it is a revenge movie. But done in a way that most revenge movies aren't. Mm-hmm. It thinks way ahead of you. In most movies, you're like, oh, blah, 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 why are you being stupid and stuff like that. This is a movie where constantly you're like, oh, well, that was smart. That was smart. That was really smart. And you're watching the movie and it's like, wow, these people aren't like doing anything stupid. And like, and pretty much that's kind of what you want out of movies. But like movies think that, oftentimes people make movies and they think the audience is stupider than what they really are. And
yeah.
I mean, there are stupid people that go to movies, but we shouldn't cater to them. I also really enjoyed The Interview. I thought it was funny. Didn't really get what the hype was about, but yeah. Inherent Vice.
What do you mean? Wait. Backpedal a little bit. What do you mean you don't know what the? We both signed petitions and lobbied to get that film released. What do you mean you don't know what the hype was about?
I mean,
you signed the petition. You made that movie happen, and good for you. And good for me too. But I'm just saying, like, what do you mean you don't know what it was about? You were part of the movement.
I mean, I think the movie could have been a little bit ballsier. And that's kind of my weakness, and that's why it didn't get further on my list. It's empty. Also, another great movie that I saw was Calvary. Calvary is Calvary is a movie done by the McDonough brother. It's not done by Martin McDonough, director of one of my all-time favorite movies, In Bruges. It's done by his brother, who also did The Guard, which is a hilarious movie starring Brendan Gleeson, where he plays like a cop that does horrible things. But Calvary is a movie about a priest, a good priest, and like this really isn't a spoiler because you find out at the very beginning, opening line of the movie, this guy comes to a confession and says that he was raped by a priest when he was young. And then he threatens to kill the priest because killing just a regular priest wouldn't do the damage it would he needs it to be effective, so he has to pick the most honest, the most good priest to do it. So the film is about salvation, you know, and all this kind of stuff. I mean, it's very profound, very funny as well. I mean, like there's some fucked up stuff in this movie that, like, you'll watch it, you'll laugh, you'll cry. It's great. Also, one of my favorite actors, 99% of the movie is under a papier-mâché head.
Why'd you say that? I'm mad at you. Why'd
No,
you say that?
know it. You know it's him.
No, I know, but I didn't want to know that you see him. Dude, that was a spoiler. What the crap?
All right.
Oh, just no.
Okay.
Thanks a lot, dude. I haven't seen this movie yet. No, I'm mad at him.
All right. So, I actually knew that before going in.
I didn't know that.
Oh, I'm sorry. So, there's a guy who will not take off his papier-mâché head. And that guy is Michael Fassbender. He's part of, like, this weird alt-rock, you don't know what the fuck kind of music it is.
Oh, yeah.
And, one of the Gleason kids gets into it. I forget which one it is. There are a whole bunch of Gleasons going around. Joffrey, unfortunately, is not doing anything. I know you're probably going, fuck that kid, but that kid was amazing in Game of Thrones.
Great, and he had a lot of courage to keep going for as long as he did, considering all the hell that was raining down for him for a character he was playing.
I hope he comes back.
Me
and
too.
I hope he plays like a good role, and people are like, oh, you know, he's a cool person, because, like, I mean, look at
like, if he's such a good actor that you hate him when he's an actor playing a character.
Yeah, but I mean,
come on. This is not based on his actions in the real world. This is not based on his personality.
Hey, we forgive Christian Bale. Hey, guess what? My prediction, he'll be Aquaman in 10 years and you'll like him.
Okay.
Just because he's blonde.
Yeah, I gotcha. I'm with you.
But no, apparently Khal Drogo is Aquaman.
No, I'm with you. I got that.
All right, so, and also Inherent Vice. I thought Inherent Vice was funny, but it didn't make my list.
All right. Is
All
it
right,
time
do
for
we have dishonorable
mentions?
Do we actually have a list for dishonorable mentions?
I do. I have a worst 5.
Worst 5. I have a worst 5 and a couple honorables, because this was a bad year for some movies.
Okay, well, you can do it. You can do a top 7, and I'll do a top 5.
Okay.
I only felt compelled to do top 5. Like, there's another movie I could add to this, but I don't even feel like it's worth talking about. So, all right.
No, talk about it.
No, like I don't even have anything to say about it. It was just a,
Actually,
it was
no.
just
I
a
think I
crummy
have
movie.
top 5s.
Okay. Well, I'm gonna start with my number 1. For worst, I like to go in order. Get the worst out of the way first. My number 1... Well, for me, my worst films, like I said, I didn't go out seeking crappy films. So, my 5 are all disappointments to a certain extent. And my number 1 worst movie I've seen this year is Under the Skin. I wasn't lying before. It was my number 1. It's not my number 1 best. And if that makes you angry, anyone who's listening, that's okay. Everyone can have their opinions. But for me, this was the most disappointing because, for me, it felt very shallow. It didn't feel like there was anything to it. And a lot of people say, oh, it's just so much. Oh, God. Okay, when we were in the movie theater with the director there, people started laughing uproariously because of how much this music was played. That is not good, because this is a good piece of music. And he ruined it. The director messed it up. And he used it to make his movie worse. And that's the problem, is that this film was poorly made. and it was clumsily made, and the director said so. Jonathan Glazer does not really have a lot of confidence in this movie, and he knows it's not a good movie.
Yeah,
He was telling us about how he was booed out of like a dozen European film festivals because of how bad his movie was.
Yeah, well, but at the same time, that is like culture.
That is culture. But for me, it's not a traditional 3-act story. It's a first half and a second half. And the first half is all done on a GoPro with no lighting and no audio. And I'm not just talking about in the car. There are some scenes that really need a better camera work. Like, really, it looked horrible. It looked horrifying on screen.
Though, you know what's strange is, like, part of me was questioning that because, like, I actually skimmed through it on Amazon and it actually looks better in
Does
HD.
it really?
Yeah. So,
Yeah, we've been debating whether or not, like, we had seen the same cut as most people have seen.
Yeah, because the version that we saw, I checked it out. I confirmed. The version that we saw was 107 minutes. The version that I actually see online is, I think it's like, how long?
I have no idea.
I'm going to check it out because, like, I like to be sure.
But, it was also all improvised, which sounds cool, but it totally wrecks her character. So, Scarlett Johansson is a different person in the first half of the movie than she is in the second half, which I don't appreciate, honestly. The CGI scenes are all beautiful, and Jonathan Glazer admitted...
I guess it is 108 minutes.
Yeah. Jonathan Glazer admitted he really had nothing to do with the CGI moments, and I feel like that's where a lot of the Kubrick comparison comes from, is that the CGI moments are beautifully rendered, and they look good.
Actually, I think those were practical effects.
But still, like, even if it was filmed live, a lot of that stuff...
The skin part?
No, there was a lot of computer work. Even if it did include practical effects, there was computer work.
I will say that part of it was, like, for a 40-minute film...
Can you turn the music off, please? I'm so sick of this stupid music.
Oh, wait, I gotta get to the best part.
No.
I gotta get to the best part.
But, I'm just so sick of hearing this everywhere. It's a good piece of music, it's the same thing. Repeatedly. And that's what the movie is.
Wait for it. Let's just listen to it for a second.
No. He's like grooving out over here. Like doing some silly interpretive dance to it. Which is cute, but not helping. What is that? Oh my god, what are you doing? Okay, he's like in the zone with this.
Anyways, there's that little piece you heard.
There's too much repetition.
Any part of the movie, any part of the soundtrack, you can go onto YouTube. Any part of the soundtrack that says "Void Anything" is very repetitive and you know, like, as for one scene, it works really creepy. Like when the void popped up.
Yeah.
You know, the first time I was like, oh, this is actually kind of interesting.
It's initially interesting, but it doesn't...
Yeah.
It doesn't stay interesting, and it doesn't go anywhere.
Yeah, I mean, it's like, imagine...
But the beginning was interesting, and the ending was very well done, and I thought was actually good.
Yeah.
And there are a couple small pieces in the middle.
And what's funny is, like, the plot of this movie is very similar to a Iranian film that I saw one time. And that Iranian film was called The Taste of Cherry. And it was a movie produced by Quentin Tarantino.
Right.
And it's about this guy who, like, drives around the city, like, trying to get people to kill him.
Right.
You know, and he's, like, bringing people into his car, and he's like, please, you know, like, kill me and stuff like that.
Also...
That movie is slower, but a much better film.
Yeah. Well, it's not as repetitive, I'm sure. I can't imagine something being as repetitive.
It's not as repetitive because you don't have, like, the same beats, the same music, and all that kind of stuff, you know.
Yeah,
but
exactly.
it is much more minimal.
But the underlying reason why I don't think this is a good film is because I feel like people are adding their own stuff to it, which isn't necessarily bad. But I think that they're adding more than what the movie is offering.
Yeah.
Really, that's what it comes down to. Because I came out of this, if I had paid money for this movie, I would have been pissed.
Yeah.
I just came out not liking it for its own merits.
Yeah,
it's not a backlash thing.
We got the best environment to watch this movie. Like, we had the director, we had
the director there. The director kind of made it worse, though, because he really had, like, no faith in this movie.
Yeah.
Like, he really...
And pretty much, like, everything he said was non-intelligible.
Yeah, he wasn't very intelligible or very...
He wasn't very eloquent with his speech.
Yeah, he wasn't.
It was just...
And he kind of just kept talking about all the problems with it.
Yeah.
But I didn't like it
I
for
don't
its
think
own
he
merits.
was satisfied
It's
with
not-
the movie that he made.
Because I didn't know anything about it going into it. And I liked the poster. That's all I had to go on. And it wasn't a backlash thing. I swear it wasn't. But I came out of this wishing that I could have those 100 minutes back.
Yeah.
I want those 100 minutes back. Because that's all I gave to the movie. Was my 100 minutes. And I want it back. So that's why it's my number one most disappointing movie this year.
Alright, well, I will definitely agree with you on that.
Really? That's your number one?
That is my number one.
Oh, wow. I didn't know that. Okay.
Yeah, so... What's your number two?
Okay.
Number two. What?
Well, initially this wasn't my number two, but then when I thought about it more and more, I had to do it as number two. Godzilla. And this might seem strange, and yes, the fight scenes are slap in the face to anyone who's interested. Yes, there's only 8 minutes of Godzilla in a 2-hour movie, and only about like maybe 10 or 15 minutes of Bryan Cranston speaking very poor Japanese. Would not his fault, they just really need to hire someone to teach him how to talk. Really. Yes, the plot's not very good. That would make it a meh film. The reason why this is upsettingly disappointing to me is because Godzilla in the original film is an allegory for the consequences of nuclear bombing. He is the atomic bomb. And he's supposed to represent everything wrong with that. And it's beautiful and it's poignant. And today, people are still being born with physical deformities and mental illnesses and handicaps due to radiation from testing for nuclear bombing. That is still happening today. World War II was not very long ago. It really was not. It's still pretty recent. And they had the gall to not only have America make a nuclear missile that would, quote unquote, make the atom bomb look like a firecracker. Actually build the thing and not have any negative consequences. Not only did they do that, but they tried to not just rewrite the original Godzilla movie, but rewrite history, saying that the reason why America bombed Japan with a nuclear bomb during World War II was to kill Godzilla. They actually said that in the movie. World War II is not far enough back for you to say that. That is not appropriate, and that is not okay. And that is offensive and insulting and upsetting. And I was seriously seething with rage in the movie theater. Like, I could not believe that they would do that and make this film. And by the way, I haven't heard anybody complain about that. Everyone's just like, nope, crappy monster fights, but...
Well...
Actually, we've heard most people give positive reviews of this movie.
But part of me actually wonders how many people actually, like, sat down and watched the original Japanese version. Like, the non-Raymond Burr version. And actually, like...
But what I'm saying is, it's not just the fact that it was rewriting the original Godzilla. Mm-hmm. It's the fact that it's rewriting history. Yeah. We dropped a nuclear bomb on Japan to kill Godzilla in this movie.
I'm actually kind of surprised that...
What?
Like, you know... like, part of me... I don't know how they got approval from Toho...
Yes!
...to do this.
Exactly.
You know, like, which I'm sure Toho will come back with a response because
They did that with Godzilla.
In 2015 sometime, they are going to be working on the pre-production for the new Toho series of Godzilla films.
Yes, and I am looking forward to that. But for right now, I know a lot of the positive feedback towards Godzilla vs. Mutos, let's just call it that, is because American audiences are comparing it to, let's just call it Zilla.
Yeah,
the
they're
1998
comparing it to
film.
1998's Godzilla, which
And I'm gonna
comparison?
say no. I'm gonna say in comparison for a monster movie, Godzilla vs. Mutos is better slightly, not by a lot, because there's not a lot of monster stuff in the movie. But I will say at least Zilla didn't do this bullshit.
Well,
It did not personally offend me on behalf of the entire world. That's further east than Europe.
We'll have more to say about that later.
Okay. Like this film just like this is seriously. I am a fairly sheltered, fairly privileged white female in America. There's not a lot you can do to offend me, but I kind of felt offended on behalf of the whole freaking world for this stupid fucking movie. I really did. I was fuming in the movie theater. Like I was literally like holding my hands together trying to control myself from not just like ruining the whole experience for everyone because I was so upset.
Yeah. Okay, so for my number 4.
Number 2 or number 4?
For my number 2, sorry. For my number 2. My question is why? Why? There's a film based off of a 3-part documentary series. And there've also been a couple movies about it. It's a real case. The case was about the West Memphis 3. The documentary was Paradise Lost.
Oh.
And it was a case where these 3 kids were murdered. These 3 kids were murdered, and then, you know, they blame these kids that listen to Metallica and like punk rock and... Sorry, not punk rock. They liked Metallica, you know, and they wore black and all this kind of stuff, so they like blamed them. This is kind of like a drama between like the family and stuff. I mean, it's very Lifetime. You have a horrible performance from like a shockingly horrible performance from an actor who won Best Actor a couple years ago.
What?
He's one of my favorite he's one of my mom's favorite actors too.
Okay, I'm sorry. I need to butt in here because you've talked about this movie for a long time, and I still have no idea what movie you're talking about.
The Devil's Knot.
Okay. Continue. I just seriously had no idea what movie you were talking about, and now I know it's because I didn't see it.
Yeah. God, this movie was horrible. It stars Colin Firth and Reese Witherspoon, 2 A-class actors. Would you agree?
No, but that's okay.
Okay, well, Reese Witherspoon's a well-known name.
They're not terrible actors either.
Colin Firth, for anybody who likes anything Jane Austen, is like...
No,
but,
I know.
You know...
That's why I'm just kind of like, eh.
But, yeah, Colin Firth...
They're not bad actors.
He did a great job in The King's Speech.
Yes, I remember that.
Yeah, so, I mean, you know, great actor. This is, like, such a kitsch movie. Like, this movie sucks for a made-for-TV
Oh
movie.
my god.
Like,
that's bad.
You know, and the biggest problem with that I have with this is, like, Paradise Lost is one of the best documentaries ever. Ever. This movie needs to fucking go to the hell that they condemn these boys to. This movie needs to go to that hell. Yeah. So what's your number 3?
Okay, my number 3, this is the one crappy movie that I saw, but there's a reason why it's on my list, and it's very simple. Transformers 4, all I wanted was robot dinosaurs. That's all I went in expecting was robot dinosaurs. And you could give me about 3 minutes of that and your 3-hour film. Robot dinosaurs are not that hard. Fuck you.
All right. My number 3, Transformers 4. But unlike...
I really have nothing else to say.
Unlike Casey, I wanted Bumblebee. I go into the Transformers wanting
like
Bumblebee.
Bumblebee in the
He's
first
been
three
the
is the only
redeeming-
tolerable part.
Yeah, he's been the redeeming part of all the Transformers movies, and, like, I gotta admit, guilty pleasures. This movie is too fucking long. This movie...
So long.
This movie makes... This movie is excess to the nth degree.
For no particular reason either.
For no particular reason. Mark Wahlberg's fucking terrible.
I didn't think he was terrible. He was
The female in this movie, Mark Wahlberg's daughter, was worse than Megan Fox, was worse than the hot chick who, I don't know who her name is because, like...
Megan Fox 2.
Megan Fox 2.0, blonde, in 3. This chick was horrible. But this chick hasn't only been horrible in this movie. This is the same chick that was in a horrible movie a couple years
it's
ago.
not like Megan...
The Last Airbender.
Yeah, but it's not like Megan Fox has ever not been horrible ever in her whole career ever. Either, so... This new girl fits right in. That's like Michael Bay's type.
But she didn't even have an ass like Megan Fox. Like, I can't even give her that. Like, I can't even give her...
She had legs, but the entire movie they kept pushing that she's underage. Like,
Yeah,
that's
so-
her defining
so, like,
thing, is she's jailbait. So you
Yeah.
just feel uncomfortable even looking at her. Like, you don't even want to.
because, like...
Like, it's
You know,
one thing...
the movie, like...
No, 'cause
the movie can't even give you the objectification. It's got, like, Marky Mark going, no, you shouldn't look at my daughter. She's young, you know, blah, blah, blah.
Yeah,
but,
because it's not just that they say, oh, well, she's 16 or something, or that she's 17. They specifically mention throughout most of the first half of the movie that she's underage.
Hey, I'm going to pull something out of my wallet. Romeo and Juliet law right here.
See, that's just wrong that he even just, like, had that sitting around. Like, it's good.
Why he had it in his wallet,
It's good
yeah.
to know that he's legal. I appreciate that. And, like, at first I was like, oh, see, he knows his shit. But he actually has it in his wallet. That's not good.
Yeah.
That's not a good
Almost
thing.
makes you wonder if he's done that with other parents.
Right?
Yeah.
Anyway, continue.
All right, so,
Because I really have nothing else to say. I wanted robot dinosaurs.
you wanted
That's it.
robot dinosaurs. I wanted the Autobots, not racial stereotype
Yeah.
bots. Like, just give me the Autobots that we had in the other freaking movies.
Yeah. No,
You
I
know,
agree.
like-
Like, they were super stupid.
You know, and
But, like, the reason why I don't even have any other complaints about this movie is,
and Stanley
It's
Tucci, what the
Transformers.
fuck are you doing?
No, but-
Kelsey Grammer, what the fuck are you
But
doing?
you can say that about every Transformers movie, because every single Transformers movie has had a Coen's brother level cast.
What
Like,
the-
they've
yeah,
actually had
seriously.
mostly, like, Coen brother veterans in their fucking movie.
Yeah,
Or-
John Turturro.
Don't even forget, like, the worst one of all, Leonard Nimoy. Leonard Nimoy was in his fucking movie and said, "The needs of the many outweigh the needs of the few."
Are you serious?
Leonard Nimoy
When?
said that in the third Transformers movie.
Oh, jeez. I don't even remember that.
So that's why, like, I don't have any other complaints, because this fits right in with the other ones. But, and I don't really go to movies for, like, mindless, like, oh, cool explosions. But this time I did. This time I wanted the dinosaurs.
This time you want the dinosaurs.
I wanted the dinosaurs. That's it! It's not that hard!
Well, you might get it with Pixar's new movie coming out after Inside Out, which is The Good Dinosaur.
Oh no. Oh no. Oh no. Like the Disney one? Oh god.
I don't know what you're referring to.
Disney has like this really like flamboyant dinosaur. I think it's called the Reluctant Dinosaur or something.
Well, you know, it's got Judy Greer, Neil Patrick Harris,
Oh,
Frances
God.
McDormand.
Well, Frances McDormand is cool.
It's apparently about, like, a dinosaur with humans or whatever.
Aw, a dinosaur. Like, that's it. I like dinosaurs. I just wanted robot
Yeah.
dinosaurs.
All right, coming in at what number are we on?
Number 4.
Coming in at number 4 is Sin City, A Dame to Kill For.
Which, to be honest, that's my number 5 pick.
Okay.
So let's just go ahead and talk about it.
All right. It made me miss watching the first movie.
Yeah,
That's the biggest thing.
Because it wasn't as artful, and it wasn't as strong, and it wasn't as violent, and it wasn't as gutsy as the first one.
Plus,
It was just very... meh.
plus the color
I
choices.
forgot that I saw it for the longest time.
Yeah.
Like, that's the kind of... Like, I waited 9 years for this movie, and then almost immediately forgot about it.
Yeah. Plus the color choices weren't...
That's what I meant by artful. Yeah, the choices were not... They were very... Like,
Yeah.
a lot of stuff was colored in and not for any reason.
Yeah, but there is one redeeming point of this movie.
Joseph Gordon-Levitt?
No.
Oh, really? You don't like Joseph Gordon-Levitt?
Eva Green.
Eva Green. Who is she?
She's the chick that was prominently naked in the movie.
Her body is hot.
Her performance was decent.
Her performance was decent. Her story was meh.
But that to
It was
me...
overdone, even from like the story in the comic book. Because I've
But
read
Eva
all the
Green-
comic books.
Eva Green...
It's overdone.
Eva Green to me is an actress that can
She
do
was
no...
very sexy. Yeah.
She can do no wrong. She's fine in whatever she does, but some of the choices, some of the movies that she gets in, it's like, really? Well, that's wasted potential. You did exactly what you needed to, but you could have been in a better movie. Eva,
That's how I felt
we
about
love
her in
you.
this too, though.
You could have been in a better movie. But that being said, thanks for blessing us with your beautiful body so that I had something good to say about it.
Yeah.
Other than that, it was really dull. I mean, it was like...
Well, I think the biggest disappointment is just this movie after 9 years.
Yeah.
9
years and we get
because
this?
as soon as Sin City came out, all the hype was about Sin City 2.
Yeah,
and
people
it
kept
never
on...
really faded.
Yeah. People were just like, when's Sin City 2 coming out? When's Sin City 2 come out? And I heard Sin City 3 is coming out, but it might come out straight to the video.
Yeah, honestly, I'm not even waiting for it anymore. Like,
Yeah.
if it comes out, I'll see it, but I'm not even anticipating it.
Yeah, I'll bootleg it.
Maybe. I don't know.
Yeah. All right.
Alright,
and-
well, the film that was my number 4 spot, actually was The Interview. Not even an honorable mention. Dishonorable mention for me.
Oh.
And here's why. It's not that it was a stupid comedy, because I definitely stand up for the right for people to say whatever they want to say, even if it is stupid comedy. It's
She
not that
hates
it
us because we ain't us.
Shut up. It's not that it was stupid comedy or that James Franco was stupid hammy the whole fucking movie, or that they kept repeating the same jokes about Katy Perry and the grapefruit. It's not even that stuff. So it's a fake grapefruit. The fake grapefruit. Oh my god, the grapefruit was fake. Like, how many times did he have to talk about the fucking grapefruit? But anyway, it's not even that. Really, the reason why I don't like this movie is because it's not because I expected more from the movie, but there were certain things in the movie that made me feel that they wanted to be better and didn't do it. The first 10 minutes of this film are on the nose, freaking hilarious, super funny.
Yeah, you go
with controversial.
You go with
really.
You go with a fucked up,
really fucked up opening,
really
and then
fucked
really
up
fucked
song
up sketch
about,
with
like,
Eminem.
Yeah.
Like, the first 10 minutes were fantastic. And
Yeah.
I was super happy. I was raring to go. And then it was stupid. And it got bad. Until...
I kind of knew what I was getting into.
Yeah, but what I'm saying was they immediately started the movie with much, much better material and never got back to that point for the whole rest of the film.
Yeah, it's almost like they should have waited to, like...
Yeah, like, really. Because, again, like I said, it's not that I wasn't expecting a stupid movie. I was. And that would have been fine. But the worst part, and this is seriously after this happened, I just checked out of this movie. I didn't give two fucks about this movie anymore. They finally get to the interview, which is the whole point of the movie, and is what we've been going for the whole time. And, you know, James Franco and Kim Jong-un are sitting in a room together.
We hereby cut this interview off to show you a fight scene to prevent the interview from actually happening.
Exactly. Literally as soon...
But we gotta interrupt you. We gotta interrupt you, just like the movie. Sorry. Go ahead.
As soon as the first sign in the entire film that actually leans towards a serious discussion of North Korean government versus American government, which is interesting. But literally the very first time and the only time in the whole film that there is a negative critique towards America, it cuts to this action scene that happens during the entire duration of the interview. And by the time that the audience actually gets back to that, we've missed everything serious that might have happened. And James Franco is trying to make Kim Jong-un cry by singing Katy Perry songs to him. I checked out. I was done. Because I honestly wasn't expecting, like, Trey Park and Matt Stone level comedy with this. But they almost got there. I know that they were smart enough to do it. And I feel like they wanted to. And I feel like they pussied out. I feel like they fucking pussied out of that fucking movie. And I don't appreciate that.
South Park next season, I think it's gonna outdo it.
Exactly. Team America World Police really outdid it by a lot.
Oh yeah.
But like I said, I wasn't expecting that.
I just want Team
really
America...
wasn't.
I just want Team America too, but apparently Paramount's too much of a pussy, so we're not going to get it.
Yeah, I think Paramount Studios is actually more of a pussy than Sony. I really do. Because Sony, in less than a week...
3 kinds of people.
Well, no, Sony... yes. Well, Sony, in less than a week, did turn around and get it distributed.
Yeah.
In less than a week, they went ahead and they did it. I feel like that's fine.
Yeah, do you think Paramount should be like, oh, well, you could play it as a double feature?
Yeah, this movie that you can get unrated on Netflix that's been out for 10 years, Paramount Studios doesn't want theater screening.
That would be a great double feature. You know, that would have been cool.
If you put the interview first and Team America World Police second.
Yeah.
You can't start with Team America World Police and go into the interview. That would suck.
Yeah.
On the plus side, surprisingly sexy Korean chicks. Not enough surprisingly sexy Korean chicks. As soon as these hot Korean chicks in lingerie take off their clothes and are naked, they're naked for like 2 frames, and then we don't see them ever again.
So all you women wondering about objectification of women, you get it for about 2 seconds.
Less than. I don't even think it was 2 seconds. I literally don't.
Yeah.
And then the Korean officer, the North Korean officer, who's a woman, is very hot with her uniform and her tied up hair and her sexy red underwear and the way her booty moves. It's just very hot.
I didn't like the way her eyes actually slanted up because before
of her
you
hair.
Before you call me
Because of
racist, her hair actually slanted her eyes up.
Yeah.
It was
She
kind of
did
freaky.
look very different when she let her hair down.
Yeah,
she did.
Yeah, but
but she was also sexually very aggressive, and it was very hot.
Yeah, so before you call me racist, I was saying
It's not
that.
the way her face actually
It literally was what her hair was doing because it was so fucking tight.
But yeah, they pussied out of a movie that I feel like they wanted to make and didn't do.
And my number 5 is a movie that was my most anticipated movie of 2014. This is not an awful movie, but it still winds up on my list because it's a very disappointing movie. Christopher Nolan has been a director that has not dumbed down to audiences, really ever.
Until now.
Until now.
Until now. Sorry, I was trying to do my In a World voice. In a world.
In a world where you think
I
Christopher
actually
Nolan movies can do no wrong, comes one movie, unlike all the rest,
And that it's so stupid.
that will remind you of 2 other movies that you liked better.
No, you say 2 other movies. It felt way more like Contact than 2001. It didn't have that same feeling as 2001. There was some...
Way to ruin the movie voice.
Oh, I'm
This
sorry.
moment.
I'm sorry. It borrowed some imagery from 2001: A Space Odyssey, but content-wise was much more similar to Contact. And I feel
the
like
whole
that's
father-daughter thing was
the
almost...
way to ruin the voice thing. We need to cut it out. It's cool.
Yeah. No, the whole father-daughter thing was ripped, straight up copy-pasted from Contact.
I'm kind of sick of people. No, I'm kind of sick of people railing on the father-daughter thing because I actually thought it was very strong.
That being said, it was one of the strongest moments of the film.
Okay, cool.
Nah, you know what I'm starting to think?
What are you starting to think?
I'm getting really sick and tired of Anne Hathaway in movies.
Oh my god,
Her performance in this movie
she was awful, and
yeah.
she had the speech about how love triumphs over science, and I seriously think it was just because Anne Hathaway needed a cheesy speech.
Yeah. The love speech was bad.
It didn't go anywhere or do anything for the rest of the movie. It just ate up 5 minutes of the runtime. 5 hours.
But I will tell you, it's not as bad as what I'm about to tell you.
Dun dun dun.
In the words of Team America, World Police, Matt Damon. Oh my god.
Dr. Man.
Dr. Man.
Dr. Man.
And he's gonna try to ruin the mission. Oh my god!
Dr. Man, seriously,
this
as
movie
bad,
is so fucking
as
obvious
bad as his
that it's
character
taking
was,
a sledgehammer and just beating you over the head. If you think this movie, I'm gonna say it, and I apologize to you. I do apologize to you. But if you think this movie is complex, either you don't watch movies, or you don't fucking read, or fucking
don't
stimulate
swear at people.
yourself
Don't
intellectually.
Swear at people. Come on, that's not nice.
Okay, I apologize.
That's not nice. Well, here's the thing. As bad as Dr. Man's character was all by himself,
I wish I didn't watch as many movies as you blissful people that somehow enjoy this movie.
well, Dr. Man's character is terrible.
Yeah.
But it's so much worse because he's called Dr. Man. His name seriously ruins his character.
Oh, and
Not that there was any salvaging his character. It's just,
the worst fight scene out of all the 5 movies that I said. Like, the fight scenes in Transformers were way better than
No, I would
Transformers.
Say, no. I would say that it's better than the fight scenes in Godzilla because at least you actually see it.
Yeah.
You actually see it.
I forgot to include Godzilla in my list.
But we talked about it pretty thoroughly.
Yeah.
But
The door closes. That's all you gotta know. You want Godzilla? Here, get Jaws instead. Close the door.
No, the reason why this movie wasn't on my list is because for maybe the first 45 minutes, I thought it was an excellent movie. Maybe not 45 minutes, but the first chunk.
I don't know, the old
And the
people
setup-
talking at the beginning.
No, like the setup and Matthew McConaughey's character and the relationship with the kid and the way that Earth is and the revisionist history stuff, I was actually digging. I was digging it until, oh, it's gravity. Until that line. And then it became really cheesy.
Yeah.
But even still, there were some parts that I did enjoy. And I love all the space stuff.
This movie so wanted to be called Gravity, but
It so wanted to be called Gravity.
it couldn't.
But all the space imagery was very beautiful. And as much as I don't like the ending, I didn't feel like the director pushed out or did something he didn't want to do. I feel like that was the vision, whether I like it or not. And I respect that.
No.
So not on my worst. Really not. Because I came away with something from this movie. Not enough, but something.
Well, all right. Do you have any last words?
All right.
Well,
I just about talked I think I've thought myself to death.
all right. Well, this has been All Walks of Film, and we'll see you later.
All right.